Hello, hello. It's been a hot minute and my OBS settings are all whacked out, so I am just going to very carefully move my microphone and yeah, you guys let me know what the volume levels are like. Obviously I want you to be able to enjoy some music but also not get your eardrums blown out. Oh, and literally just as I start streaming, I get messaged by someone. Bear with me. How's everyone doing? Yeah, do let me know what the music to mic volume is like for you. Music barely audible, says Spaghetti, but also Waffles. That's so weird, because it's like cranked halfway up on the OBS for me. That is annoying. Is that any better? Is the music a little... It was fading out before. If it was a little quiet, that was it. Also fading out on the track. Bonky? What the... Oh my gosh. Wow, thank you so much. Honestly, you. Oh my goodness, thank you. I'm just popping my thing down. Right off the bat, Bonky coming in with an amazing and very kind and generous donation there. Thank you. I'm just playing around with brush settings. If it looks like I'm just flailing my mouse around, for some reason OBS doesn't always pick up the brush settings, which is very funny. But we simply must, while I'm playing around with brush settings, draw a little skull in honor of our friend Bonky. A little cartoony one, methinks. Well, it's probably not good that I'm in a cartoony mood today because, as you can see, I am attempting to complete a sketch that is manifestly not cartoony, but we will see how that goes. Thanks. Bonky. That Rob Human says about 30% of your voice. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Honestly, everyone's got different tastes, right? So it's whether or not it works for you guys. If the music to voice ratio is good, as long as it's good for you guys, I'm fine with it. It's just that for whatever reason, anytime I dare to like update this or unplug my thing, I just always seem to get the well, I'm having some issues recently with OBS where it's not picking up my desktop audio when I'm recording, which is a whole other bag of worms, but if you can hear it, that's the main thing. Seems good now to me, says Autumn. Great stuff. You just like skulls. Well, I do like skulls, but yes, it's also in honor of our good friend Bonky. You have headroom if you want to bump it up. Well, maybe I'll do just that. I think it's currently fading out though, so I probably won't base the volume off of that. I don't want to deafen you guys. Hello, Solar Solitaire says, today I've become a vanilla strawberry ice cream. I got a bunch of sunburns. No, that's what you're meant to be like be like me. I wear Factor 50 because otherwise I slowly crisp up in the sun. You gotta keep your skin nice. Now, let me just... You'll have to forgive me. As I said, I am moving my mic around with utmost care because this thing picks up everything. It's the sock I have for it isn't a good sock, so I've had to take the sock off. And I'm hopefully going to get a sock that fits better. But let me first introduce you to, with my horrible brush, this is not what she deserves. She's a dignified lady. But this is Cembo Aloy. Meet Cembo. The reason her face is so well rendered is because I was watching some really cool tutorials on advice for rendering like darker skin by some African American illustrators, just because obviously it's, well, typically when I reference stuff, as a lot of us do, we use our own bodies, right? We'll, like, when I'm looking at hands, I'll look at my own hands. And so I will fully admit that I will never, you know, be as good at other complexions perhaps as my own. And there was just some advice on how to, you know, best lovingly portray it. And I started getting really carried away, and I did this study underneath my sketch layer. And I was like, you know what, it'll be good to make sure that her outfit matches her complexion, as we would all hope our outfits match our complexions. So I'm just leaning into the fact that I went really ham on the skin and lighting study that I did earlier. And I'll just reduce it down for now while we're drawing her outfit. But yes, this is Cembo Aloy. There's a few people who are just starting to come in, so I'm just going to give them a minute to get settled. Solo Solitaire says, I use the strongest sunscreen, but we work in an area with white floor and have no sun umbrella. Oh my gosh, you poor thing. Honestly, not on at all. Sorry to hear that. Cembo is somewhat of a veteran in the kind of Ordo Electi, and I kind of did this concept sketch ages ago that I want to use for her. So I'm not sure about the hair yet, but the one thing I do know is exposed back of the scalp, because that is where her mark is, and she's very proud of it, and she likes to show it off. So it's going to be somewhere here on the back of the skull. Something like that. I do really like this kind of head shape I had going before, and I'm not sure if the hair is 100% following that right now, but I do know that I also tend to get bogged down in the details instead of looking at the bigger picture. So the bigger question is, does she look alright? And if the answer is yes, then I say I just keep going. I definitely need to grab up some references for her clothing, because I want it to be a kind of Enavas special. For those of you who aren't on the Patreon right now, or maybe missed the YouTube video and the community post, I am doing a kind of art event over on the Discord, which is now open to the public if you also missed that. And at the minute, and it's to design a member of either, well, of the Ordo Electi, but either an Ornata or a Warden, who obviously doesn't need to be an Ornata, they can be a cool regular Joe. As you can probably guess, Cembo is a Ornata, and an Ornata are quite a lot of rank. The skin study still, like, there's some nice texture from the texture layer, but she is meant to look a little older than this, so I think once I start bringing colour in, I'll definitely add, like, maybe a few crow's feet. You know, she's not old, but she's also not young anymore, you know. She's in her, I'm putting her in her, I want to say late 30s. So she's not old, but she's also not like a spring chicken anymore, you know. She knows the ropes. She knows her way around stuff. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of take you through, well, I say take you through the process. What you're going to see is a lot of me vacantly staring at jackets and stuff like that, and then working out what I want for her. And the reason I bring up fashion and all of that jazz is because as part of the art event, I put together some like a style guide for Enavas, just because it's so big and it has such a huge variety of bits and pieces. So what I actually also have open right now is some of those references, and I thought it would be nice to use some of those. I think Cembo would probably incorporate parts of her own culture, but she is like fully naturalized, you know, and those sorts of clothes are readily available to her. What's also fun is that Cembo used to see a lot of military action, but doesn't anymore, which means I can go a little more ceremonial, I suppose, with her robes. Something a little bit more comfort-based. She's kind of earned that right at this point, you know. I think what I'm just going to do is start sketching and see what we end up with. As I said, I like the idea of her having like a... Let me just look at my reference. Yeah, it's kind of like a... So maybe I went to... I like the idea of the high collar just because, one, it's a big fashion thing in Enavas, but also because I want her to feel very prim and proper, you know. But I think what I should start with is whatever the biggest shape is going to be, and I think she's going to have like a big outer robe overcoat type deal, and I think that's going to be like part of her silhouette. I need to nail down her silhouette, and then I think we can add things like an undershirt and all of that jazz. So I think that's probably how we'll have to do it. I'm also just going to move her name down, so if people are like, who's this? It's Cembo. Before we get started, I think I've mentioned her abilities at one point, but not her name on a stream. I would love to hear what you guys think her ability is. Keep in mind that her mark is here, and she has presumably a part of the back of her head is a golden skull. What are people's guesses on what she could do? I'm just looking at the chat, sorry. Hello, great fan of your work, and you are inspiring to... Oh, you're doing your own world building project, Tomo. I'm so glad to hear it. Unsure how to start, any tips? Or you don't have to answer if it's not the right time. It's always the right time to talk about art, I would say, and this is going to be the worst non-answer ever. Also, Martin says, do you mind showing the references? So I'm just going to screenshot my little document here and bring that across while I'm talking. I would say for getting started it's going to be like a sculpture, and the frustrating part with a world building project is you're not going to have all the parts ready to go immediately, you know, like you're not going to have the entire world ready to go, and that's okay. You don't have to, and that's just something you've got to push through, I feel. And you know, this is coming from someone who has got a very patient load of people over on the Discord who have been asking lots of questions, because obviously I don't have all the answers, and I've, you know, had to admit at points I don't know. I don't know is a perfectly valid answer, and obviously I've had to deal with the frustration of not at anyone, but very much, oh no, they don't get the vibe I'm going for, and then I'm like, of course they don't, because I've not shown them all the vibes yet. So yeah, it's a tricky one, but I think the thing is just to start and pick something you're passionate about in your world building project. Start with that, and then kind of expand out from there. And yeah, treat it like a sculpture. That's the best I can say, really. Where each bit is just you chiseling away at it. Yeah. So 1 second. For those of you who have not seen the art event or the style guide document, it's not just a mood board. I swear I am a little more organized than that. There's also like tips like, oh, this group like asymmetry or symmetry, puffy sleeves, high collars, all that jazz. But I'm gonna make these smaller, just so we have just so I feel like I've got breathing room. Just looking at the chat. do you mind? Hi, dude. So you're live on Discord. Was wondering what faction is she a part of? She's part of the Ordo Electi. In fact, Cembo is very high ranking. She is what they would call, you know, disclaimer, might change the name, but for now, an overseer, which basically means that she is a very high-ranking Ornata. Wardens and awakened Ornata are considered kind of two separate entities, especially because Wardens tacitly are there to keep an eye. Like, certain Ornata do have handlers. I have another Ornata in mind who, after he was awakened, got bigger and bigger and now is borderline a giant. Not like giant, but, you know, like, we're talking pretty big and pretty strong. But Cembo is the closest you'll get to, like, the head of the Ornata faction. She's someone who can... she would be a representative of their interests, and then the Ordo Electi would have representatives for their interests, and then they would go to the head of the military, who's kind of like one of the King's Council, if they wanted to petition for stuff. Resources or things like that. Mind reading, says someone. My guess is telepathy or death speaking. Commune with dead. Hello. So no, that is not what Cembo's ability is, but very good guesses. Think about where it is. It's in the back of her head. I'll give you a little longer and then I will just outright tell you. Right. I'll be honest here, this is really cluttering up the page. I get wanting to see the references, but it's not sparking joy. I don't like how cluttered the page is. And maybe this is just how my brain works, but it feels like too much. So I do apologise to whoever asked for the references, but I'm shoving them so far out the way, you probably won't be able to see them. Just because it mentally is stopping me from playing around with shapes, you see what I mean? Like, I'm keeping her constrained in, so I'm going to hide these for now and just play around with shape. And then when I find some shapes I like, I'll probably bring the references back in. She got some pull. Someone says, thank you very much. Neutralizing Ornata abilities? No, that's a good guess. We already have an Ornata that does that. Maybe eyes on the back of the head. I have a name is actually the closest. Yeah, it's kind of where I've put her mark is meant to be a pun on eyes in the back of the head. Her ability is if you can see her, she can see you. It's kind of a bit hand-wavy in the sense that we would only ever see her ability from an outsider's perspective, but it's implied that she can see your face. It's not like she just senses you, she can actually see you. Which does mean she can get very overstimulated when she's outside, as you can imagine. And so she kind of worked her way up the ranks by being a scout. She would go out into areas and check if there was ambushes, basically. And she can even see the faces. Well, you know, disclaimer might change it, but for now, I like the idea that maybe she can see people in her dreams. So if someone was, for example, trying to sneak up on her, she might have a moment in her dream where she's like, wait, why does everyone have this person's face? But yeah, the idea is if you can see her, she can see you. It's also why after she's kind of gained this rank, she doesn't see as much field stuff anymore, and it's just because going out into public is just so difficult for her. If you can imagine, like, everyone can see you, that's a tricky position to be in, you know? It's stressful. Or rather, you being able to see everyone that can see you. I'm just gonna play around with some shapes. She's had it rough, man. She needs something comfortable. I might not stick with this. We're just kind of playing around with it. We're seeing what works and what doesn't. think she's probably got something like this, and then that's kind of big and comfortable. And then probably then some kind of like high collar underneath, just because Anavas lot really do like their high collars. And also I think it would imply, you know, she's got this comfy thing on the outside, but she's also very regal and dignified and elegant. I kind of want her to give off this vibe, you know, especially because she's like, I can see you. Like, if you walked into a room and her back's to you, she knows who it is. Just checking the chat. I have a note that says, I'm what? You're a wizard, I have a name, and also correct, or very close. Well, that's where the occipital lobe is, which is a nice touch. Thank you. Yes, that's the fun. You know, that's why I kind of hand waved. Oh yeah, and the Ornata gold placement. People think it might be a god because it's sometimes symbolic. Oh, that's awesome. Kind of creepy. Yeah, she's I want her to be a little intimidating, you know, but also I think it would be easy to make Cembo like make her Ornata ability something destructive, if that makes sense. Like, it'd be really easy to be like, she can blow people up with her mind, or she's the most powerful Ornata that's ever lived, but she's like, no, I'm just very, very good at what I do. They used to send me in ahead of scouts into whenever they thought there was an ambush imminent, they'd send me in. You know, like, I've got very good combat training. I've faced down death dozens of times. You do not want to mess with me. There's something scarier about someone who's like, oh yeah, even without my Ornata abilities, I could probably kill you. And then to top it all off, she can always see. If you've got eyes on her, she can see you. I'm trying to work out what this thing is. I think it's like a cravat, almost. It's like lace going on. Let me do a new tab in case I don't like it, but I'm wondering if to do like some, maybe split down the middle, like some lace. You know what I mean? Would that kind of work? This is just me vaguely hashing the shape out. And then I liked the idea of like the collar, so maybe it's like a really, like a buttoned one almost. How are we feeling about that? Like a ruffly collar for our good friend Cembo here. What's our thoughts on that? Can she always do that, or does the gold part have to be exposed? Oh, that's a good question, Tomo. In Cembo's case, it's always passively active. She can't shut it off, and it's just happening all the time. So it's both a blessing and a curse. It's you know, like, she's, as time has gone on, she, by her own admission, has less and less patience for going out in public. It's stressful, and she, you know, she's constantly just being bombarded with stuff, so she's less willing to go out nowadays. But yes, it's just kind of always active is how I envisioned it. Just playing around with a lacy cuff here. Trying to give her that drip. Someone says, Rob says, I was actually going to ask in the ask box. Oh, there's an ask box on the Discord, so if you guys do have any burning questions, there's a spot now that you can ask them. I'm going to pick a bunch that have been asked in there recently and a bunch that were asked on the do you have any questions for the Q&A video, the last video I posted, and I will be kind of smushing those into a Q&A video soon. But if you would like your question answered immediately and not waiting for the video to come out, then you can head over there and ask that. That Rob Human says, how common divination sight detection based abilities are? They are... I think they're no more or no less common than any other ability. I think that not all, but a lot of sight-based abilities will be around the eyes, like, you know, the gold placement will be there, so they're a lot more visible. I think probably a lot of Ornata abilities, particularly the subtle ones, it's just you don't see them. So I think eye ones, maybe that's a really good question. Maybe there's even like a misconception where people are like, oh, eye abilities are the most common, and it's actually no, those are just the ones we see. That could be interesting. I don't think they're any more or less common. And also vision in this case is different because while she can quote unquote see you, she's not seeing you with her eyes, you know, she just knows. Like, for example, someone could have like a gut feeling and like be able to sense where, let's say, people who mean to do them harm are. So if someone has the intention of hurting you, you could see them. Now that could be your eyes because you have like, let me stick a little gold layer here. It could be like your eyes because you've got like vision, or it could be on your stomach because it's your gut feeling, or it could be in your hand because you raise a hand dramatically in gesture and you like activate the ability. So also you could have like someone who has a marking on their eye, but it actually relates to like, I don't know, their sinuses or something like that. Like maybe they can smell really well. So eye markings don't always mean vision stuff. I'm not sure how I feel about these ruffles. I feel like maybe we should go ruffly coat, but then very tight. Like tight shirt. I'm not sure. I think what I'll do is draw a little bit more from this side of things, like the coastal Enavas fashion, which is a bit more piratey and swashbuckly. Maybe get some of these trousers involved, some of these like tight trousers. These are neat. I think some thigh-high boots are definitely in order. I don't know about you guys, but she's giving like rider's boots. That's the vibe I'm getting. Let's get you guys. There you go, down there. What we're working with. Yeah, I think that'll help me inform this, if I can kind of get a vibe on these. A big thing that I will fully admit is also just because I really like the aesthetic of it is like boot covers. I think Edie Kemlo, the one who can nullify magical effects, she has rider's boots, like covers too. I'm a big fan of those. I kind of almost can't speak today. Almost want to go like full fantasy and then be like up to here or something crazy. I think I just want something very dramatic for her silhouette. Maybe something like that could make for a very like cool looking silhouette, you know. Not sure how I'm feeling about it. I also think the sketch I did, her legs a little off, so that's probably not helping, but we can correct that with clothes. The clothes are more important here. Someone says, considering her native gold's at the back of her head, the associated part of the brain is considered with memory, math, motor skills in the body. Martin says, it often felt off place to me that people with strong special abilities somehow always gravitated towards becoming high-ranking bureaucrats, despite having no use of the ability there. Yeah, I think with Cembo, she kind of really benefits from that. Like, even as a bureaucrat, she has a reason to want to kind of step back. She's earned her peace, if you know what I mean. It's kind of a soft retirement. She can do combat. She's not really up to it anymore. Not physically, but like mentally. That Rob Human says, right on, the destructive ones are a bit boring compared to what I call utility abilities. Those are way more interesting to me. Yeah, I'm really similar. I'm just kind of reading the comments while I ponder what I want her to wear. I'm going to do them on separate layers so I can always delete bits if I don't like them. I think that, I'm trying to remember she's going to be wearing a cape, but in my head I want to remember, like, know what she's wearing. I think the utility abilities for me are also the most interesting. There's another Ornata who I will hopefully draw at some point who can taste emotions, kind of like a serpent. Like he can, like, he flicks his tongue out and like tastes the air. I think I said it in the design, like the art event on the Discord rules, but for those of you who aren't aware or haven't read it or don't want to join the Discord, which is fair, a big rule of thumb for me with the Ornata abilities is always go lower powered if you can, always go weird and like specific if you can, and also if you can split an ability into two, do split an ability into two. So for example, if someone's like, oh, they can read thoughts and minds and emotions and tell if you're lying, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's just make it they can hear lies, or they can taste emotions, or, you know, that sort of stuff. If you can turn it into two abilities, that's my rule of thumb. Now, you don't have to do that if you're just having fun and making a fan character, I hasten to add. I kind of want to give her a cummerbund. Give me a second. But what I would say for me is that the reason I've kind of set myself that rule is because I don't want there to be a power creep. I find overpowered characters boring. I find it much more interesting to give a character one weird ability and then see what they do with it. And I think that's very much the case with the Auto Electi. They're like, yo, you can like taste emotions? That's insane. We can work with that, you know, or you can't be snuck up on, like Cembo here. Oh shit, we can, you know, we can work with that. It started as a cummerbund and turned into like I'm going for something like this. Is what I'm going for. But I've just realised I also gave her this big lacy ruffle, and maybe I should just finish the coat and then see what we're working with. I think I'm trying to do too much at once. So let's get this coat done. Hey, let's get the coat done, and then we'll see what we're working with afterwards. I think that's the plan. I'm trying to do too much as usual. I hope you don't mind my rambling. I've just kind of gotten into the habit of rambling when I'm streaming. I think that's probably part of the whole thing, right? But just playing with brush settings. I do understand that some people are less keen on the talking part, but obviously if that's the case, put on your favourite Phil Collins album and just, you know. If you can also hear slamming around in the background, my cat has the zoomies, so we might just have to deal with that. Just taking back this ruffle. I think we can add that lace later. I just need to work out how much lace is going on first. So it kind of comes around like this. So you've got this shape. And that's the sleeve. And then you've got this bit that kind of comes out like that. Okay. So maybe, once again, if you see me doing like a million layers, I can only apologize. It's just because I don't like being destructive with my sketches, because I think the sketches add so much texture. I mean, look how much it's added to her face, those little dashes. It just seems to add a lot. I cannot stress how much this light study I did on her face earlier is just passing the across the room test. The second you take that sketch layer away and zoom in, it's not functional. It's gonna zoom out. So I've got a separate layer going here, and I'm just trying to work out more of a shapey shape. That does not spark joy. There we go. Okay, Okay, so we've got this here. That's kind of a rider's cape thing going on. We'll probably go fancier. Like on this one, they've got all this beautiful like stuff going on with it. And then up onto there, got this nice drape. I think the drapery goes higher on this one. The drapery actually goes like... Drapery goes like all the way up to the top on this. That might actually be better. It's gonna kind of have that come down. And then probably some kind of angle to it. I think an angle will be good. It'll get some more kind of dynamism to her shape. I'm sorry if my brain seems completely switched off at the minute. I, as I've said before, work a full-time job and it's a Friday and it's been a long week. So let's flip the canvas. I'm feeling ambitious. I'm feeling bold. Some more of a ruffle here will probably go. You could have that there. I'll probably have this drape over the leg just so we can see a little bit more of whatever she's got underneath. In which case you might not even see the other hand. The other hand might be like completely obscured and then you just get like a hint of the ruffle. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna delete this and then... It's alright, Cembo. We'll get you absolutely kitted out. Don't you worry. She's gonna look fab when we're done with her, gang. That's the aim. She's gonna look dignified and cool. Let me check the chat while I sip a drink. Oh wow, there's a lot of posts. Let me catch up on some of them. Ruffles are about presentation. Meanwhile, the source imagery you selected suggests someone who isn't concerned with presentation and more function. Yes and no. I mean, like, I'm just drawing into elements I like from them. Certain collars. So for example, on the orange one, I'm looking more at the collar shape and the fact that it's an outer robe more than the rest of them. I'm not looking at them entirely for what they are, but just certain shapes and angles, like ways I like them to lay on the body or cut across the body. Without wanting to get too much into it, it's very shape theory-y, you know, like how lines interact with other lines. I would never claim to be an expert on that. It's just kind of, you know, how things fit together. So if some of my references seem a little off, it's because I'm looking at a certain part of them, or maybe even like I don't know, I just really like the pattern of the embroidery. Someone says, I think spectacles. I think spectacles could be really nice. Like, maybe I'll do her with and without them. Like some little reading glasses could be quite cool. Like, yeah, she's got this cool undershirt going on, and then she's got this nice cape on top. I really like the idea of spectacles now you've said that. I think I want to have some without, just to kind of highlight her face, and also I spent so long doing that skin study. I would really like to keep that, but then maybe an alternate version with some like little like pince-nez. Ooh, you got me going now. I wear glasses. Hey, have I ever seen glasses before? Oh my god. There we go. Yeah. Maybe something like, not, these look like goggles, but that shape, or maybe even like some half moon shapes. Could be kind of neat. It would also kind of help show her Yeah, like when I say age, once again, she's not old. Like, you know, late 30s isn't old, but she's not, she's worn down, you know, like she's seen a lot of service. It's gonna affect you. Maybe I don't know, something like that. Something like that could be cool. Thank you. Let me double check your username. Norberus. Thank you, Norberus. I think that's a really cool idea. I'm going to keep that in mind. Galaxy says, do you have to know you are looking at a person for her ability to work? No, you just need to be like kind of, a blind person wouldn't register it. You have to be registering her. In the sense that like your brain is picking her up. Like you might not register you're looking at a... oh, that's a good question. I think you need to register you're looking at a person. I think if she was in camouflage or made visible, for example... No, the person looking at her has to register there's a person there. They might not know who they're looking at, but they have to register that she's there. I think that's that probably balances things a little, I hope. Nothing better at giving dramatical vibes than capes, 100%. Utility spells are always more interesting than destructive spells, case in point D&D, says Alex. I agree. Does she have kids, says Galaxy? No, I don't think she has kids. I think she has a husband. Just because I like the idea of like this interesting dynamic where she... yeah, I in my head she has like a very quiet, studious husband, and not in like a, oh, he's like the submissive one, like, you know, the weak one. I think they're both strong individuals. It's just that she's very outspoken and, you know, calm and calculated, and he's calm and calculated in maybe a bit of a shyer manner, and so she's the one who kind of has stood up for him and admires his work, and I like that as like kind of their dynamic. I think that's quite sweet. But he kind of fell in love with her because she isn't afraid to stand up for what she cares about, and she fell in love with him because what she cares about is his kind of intellectualism. I think that's kind of cute. If she's a scout, then she has to be able to pinpoint or vaguely tell where the person is looking at her from, right? Or does she know does she only recognize ambushes by the fact that, oh, this person can see me? It's, once again, I'll admit, I'm fully kind of hand-waving some of this purely because she's a character that we would experience from a outsider's perspective. You know, like we would never see things from her point of view, and therefore we can be a little intentionally stylistically vague about if you can see me, I can see you means. But I think it's more like she could literally pinpoint your location. She's like, it's as if she is looking directly at you. She's like, oh, there they are. So what she would frequently do is be sent into what they suspected to be ambush scenarios, because obviously if you are laying an ambush and you see a scout, you're not going to kill that scout. You're going to let that scout think that it's safe. Well, you'd hope so, unless someone's trigger happy or stupid or it's young recruits panicking. What you do is you let that scout think it's safe, go back to the army, and then say, hey, I found this super safe route, let's go. And then obviously, spoiler alert, it's not safe and you get ambushed. So her kind of line of work was being sent to scout out areas, but obviously she's got to feign not seeing anything. I imagine she's got a very good poker face, because what they don't want, you know, the enemy know that Enavas have a lot of Ornata in their army, and what you don't want is to see an Ornata and then see her reacting, because then you know something's up, right? And that's no good. Just trying to work out her boots. I think I'm making the boots too chunky. They could have a little bit of flair to them. Maybe I'll put a little fancy cover on these boots as well, and that could be like a fun pattern. But as someone, personally I believe the most impactful Ornata for society might not be combat one, but utility. Yeah, I think the utility ones will be the ones that kind of pave the way for a more civilized society. I don't think she's a scout, I think she's more of a commander, says that Rob Human. Yeah, she used to be a scout, but now she's more of a commander. As I said, she's an overseer, which means that she's kind of she is one of, if not the highest ranking awakened Ornata. In essence, Cembo is kind of like the leader of the or like awakened Ornata portion of the Auto Electi. She's a big deal. She's not the person in charge of the Auto Electi. And there's a weird dynamic between the Ornata and the Wardens, because obviously the Wardens are also kind of like their overseers. But she is the one who advocates for the Ornata, oversees, kind of recruits and transformations, probably ends up doing a lot of paperwork and like diplomatic relation type stuff. Has kind of, you know, gotten that opportunity and earned that opportunity for a quieter life just through years of service, you know. Someone says, lies stink to me like offal off a wagon of guts and putrefaction even. Yeah, exactly. Like, you can play around with how abilities, I really like playing around with abilities in settings. Like, a lot of the Ornata abilities aren't pretty, if you know what I mean, and even, like I said, you know, someone, instead of it just being like, oh, I can tell someone's lying and my eyes glow and I levitate, it's like, I can taste your emotions, I can taste you're angry or something like that. I just like the idea that even stuff that maybe in other fantasy settings would be, yeah, prettier, in this setting just aren't always. It doesn't mean they aren't there. There's definitely someone out there who can like breathe fire, for example. It's just a lot of the time it's not that pretty or elegant, or it tires them out, or they get nosebleeds, or, you know, it is someone who can do something really cool, but he's like a little rat guy, you know, like he's not literally a rat, but, you know, he's just like a little scrungly guy. You know, the people aren't always pretty, if you know what I mean. Because neither are we, and it makes me comforted. I'm liking these trousers. I think the trousers are good. I don't know about the boots. Gonna read. Rambling is perfect, says someone. Sorry, just sipping. Someone says, Noddy zooms. He was zooming. He is now sleeping. He passed out. He got real tuckered out, and now he's sleeping face down on the floor, which... You're right, mate. Don't look at me like that. Noddy's giving me the evils. Noddy is my cat, FYI, the one who was zooming around earlier. Yeah, you continue to sleep face down. Good boy. He's a good boy. Oh my god, there's so much chat. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna zoom through some stuff real quick. Blah, blah, blah. Do you have to know you are looking at person for places? Big dog question. Someone says it was indeed been a long month this week. I remember in one of your videos you talked about fatal cases of the gold spreading through the body, but are there any cases of Ornata surviving this? No. If you get aureal malignancy, aka gold blight, you do die. Usually within less than a year. If you get that currently is curtains. They don't have a known cure at the minute. People are trying, but that's kind of it. If you were to being Ornata D&T, would you make them a race or a sorcerer subclass? That's a really good question. I'd have to think about that. I'd be tempted to down power them and make them like a dragon mark type thing, if you guys are familiar with dragon marks from Eberron. Or I would have to I'd have to make them like their own subclass, or maybe they're even like, I think they'd be their own class, man. Like, it's tricky. It's tricky for sure. That Rob Human says she's part of the brass now. Sure, she used to kick ass in the field in her day, but she flies a desk now. She'll, yeah, exactly that. She's, you know, she's kind of earned that right. But she could still, like, 100% kill a guy. She just doesn't want to. Someone's filling in Shadow Coconut. Thank you so much. Someone's asked about the odds of Ornata being born in one family. I don't have an exact number for that. I know Ornata are rare. It's not like every other person's an Ornata. I don't have an exact number is the honest answer. Alex Simpkins says, gotta love a circular power dynamic. The Wardens and Ornata seem like the Holy Roman Empire and the papacy. Yeah, I will be the first to admit that the dynamic between the Wardens and I'm just going to try a different boot. So don't worry, I'm going to duplicate the layer, delete the boot type, and I'm going to try something else. I'll be the first to admit the dynamic between the Ornata and the Wardens isn't a new one. It's a kind of a staple of a lot of fantasy. Another one that comes to mind immediately, the Templars and the Mages in Dragon Age. They also have something similar. As you say, Holy Roman Empire and the papacy. It's an interest. I love power dynamics like that because there's so much push and pull to them. You know, people realizing their worth and the threat they pose, but also you don't want to appear like too much of a threat because that's what kind of got you into that position in the first place. The Wardens are kind of simultaneously the handlers of certain Ornata and also at their beck and call, like a junior Warden recruit rookie. That's a whole other fantasy genre. You know, is going to be bowing and scraping and saluting someone like Cembo. But then, you know, Cembo and one of the more senior Wardens might get into a bickering match and have to go to kind of like the King's Council, the people kind of assigned to them, to get, you know, to sort their squabbles and stuff like that, or push for something to happen. They're not always at odds with one another, but there's definitely a thing of like, I think a big thing will be the Wardens readily putting Ornata, not all of them, but certain Warden generals putting Ornata in danger, despite the fact a lot of Ornata aren't trained as well as a Warden. So, you know, Cembo kind of pushing to not put certain Ornata in danger, and then some of the, you know, senior Wardens being like, they signed up for this. This is the deal. I really like stuff like that, you know, where there's that push and pull. I don't think the floppy boot cuffs are doing it. I think it is the high boots. I'm feeling the high boots. And you know what? I had to play around with it to know how I felt. And what I feel is high boots. She deserves the high boots. Asimov says being able to smell lies is a very useful ability in a military or martial environment, but could be debilitating in a big... Yeah, absolutely. You know, you go to like a... you could be like the world's best gambler, like you could be so good at poker and stuff, but then if you went to a casino, or this world's equivalent of that, like a gambling den or something, it could drive you insane because it just smells so bad, right? Someone says, wait, Noddy like the old cartoon. Yes, yeah, I didn't name Noddy that, he's adopted. Well, all cats are, but specifically, he's a rescue. He was already, they think about 3. So he already came with the name, but I love it. Noddy's a great name. High five. Yeah, Eberron is my fave D&D. Yeah, me too. I love Eberron. Guys, I'm gonna go. It's 2 a.m. Tomo, yes, go sleep. Go sleep. You need that. You need that. I'm gonna keep you going, but parts for the laser just arrived. Time to enjoy the laser. In the case of twins, are both of them born as Ornata, or can it just be one of them? This is one of the questions I get asked a ton. As far as I'm ruling it, there haven't been enough cases of like twin Ornata for them to determine a rule, because Ornata are already so rare, twins are rare, having that kind of wombo combo is extra rare, but so far no, there have been no cases of identical twins who are both Ornata. Maybe there's been like, one case of identical twins where one was an Ornata, but they're just, identical twins are very rare, Ornata are rare. There isn't enough data to go on, I think. And remember that the world doesn't have a centralized bank of knowledge. There could be a twin Ornata living in the middle of nowhere in an undiscovered continent, and no one would ever know, For those of you who've just joined, this is Cembo Aloy. Gonna do her shoes now, methinks. Can't work out if I want to do a boot cover for her or not. I think the answer is yes. I think a cool boot cover would work, especially because she's more of a diplomat now than anything else. She's an emissary. She's got a lot of different responsibilities, but most of them aren't combat focused anymore. She'll probably have like a fastener up here or something like that. I think that'd be neat. It also means if there's fabric here, I can maybe get away with more guiding lines, if that makes sense. And also it means that if I want the colour to really pop later, I'm just going to flip the canvas, hold on. If I really want the colour to pop later, the fabric will give me more leeway to colour it something funky, if that makes sense. Like, you could have blue leather, but you probably wouldn't get blue leather boots in this setting, but you probably would get some blue fabric. Or you'd be more likely to get something like that. I think it just reads better. Yeah, Cembo, look at you. You've got clothes, girl. You got clothes. Good for her. And yeah, to anyone who's come in, apologies for those of you who've been here since the beginning, hearing me repeat myself, but there is a art event over on the Discord, which is now public if you missed my community post and the video. So, and yeah, we've got an art event on, designing a member of the Ordo Electi. It can be a warden or an Ornata, up to you. 2 entries per person, and the one I like the most, I'm gonna make canon. Well, that's the plan anyway. Always room for one more in the holy, quote-unquote, voluntary army of Enavas. The stretch over the knee doesn't feel correct. Feels a bit better, and then maybe there we go. That feels it doesn't need to be 100% accurate. It just needs to once again pass the across the room test. Something like that. definitely need to draw the king of Enavas at some point. I've got some ideas in my head. He's definitely going to give off more of this like medieval aesthetic I have. You know, like that. I think they're very traditional in terms of their dress, particularly the royal family. Like fantasy medieval for sure, like very fantasy, but you know, a bit more oldie worldy than the musket wielding lot. For sure. Put some little clasps just to kind of allude to something keeping her boot covers up. Maybe something like more like that. There you go. A lot of the time when I do sketches like this, I am very much just alluding to stuff. I do fear I maybe went too... I got really into doing that face and skin study / tutorial on her earlier, and now I fear it's going to be too high quality compared to the rest of her. But we're gonna cross that bridge when we come to it, because I don't know what to do with that at this point. I think she's very skinny. I think she's like got very wiry muscles, you know, like she definitely looks a lot less muscular than she actually is. And then, I don't know, she like grabs you and you're like, oh my god, you are way stronger than I thought you were. This feels good. The one thing I'm wondering is if I kind of want to almost make her her hair a bit bigger. Like, you know how this is like huge. I'm thinking maybe more like... What I might actually do is duplicate this layer that's her head, and then I can just play around and delete it and not stress about destroying anything. The big thing is like, I think she really does, like, this is a subtle threat. She could be covering up her hair, and she's not. Not her hair, her mark. She could be using her hair to cover up her mark, and she isn't, and I think that's really intentional. I think she's, like, proud of how it looks, and wants you to know that she's an Ornata. And I think that's, like, important. I think there's something to be said, you know, there's real world themes in all of this stuff, right? And visibility is important. She's like, if I represent the Ornata, then I should show them that we should be proud of, like, who we are and what we look like. I'm gonna do this on a different layer. So maybe something that takes up... I almost want it piled on top of her head, you know? Like, it's very obvious. Okay. Almost like she's drawing attention to it. And once again, even though she's maybe originally from another culture, I can imagine a lot of the men from, like, the coast have that fashion of, like, you know, long Age of Exploration hair on men, ponytails, and so this is her kind of also wearing her hair in a more local style. As I said, she's 100% considered like an Enavas citizen. She's probably lived there for years. Her husband is from there. You know, she's from there at this point. Maybe something more like that. And then we can have like one of the dreads here, and one of the dreads here. Trying to keep that silhouette really nice, you know. I can't tell if I like the shorter do or the bigger do, or if I want to do something in between. I'm going to think on it for a minute. I'm going to sip my drink. I'm going to read the chat. Thomas says, okay, I had to come back to this Imagine Twins. Yeah, I know that twins could do some really cool stuff, but I think for now, twins are a no-no, just because I'm also trying to avoid having, like, a big thing with Ornata is that there has never been... It's one of those things where, like, every time I say there's a rule, I'm not saying it could never be broken. I'm going to say if the quote-unquote rule or, like, the norm is broken, that's a big deal, right? Like, so, for example, there hasn't been any recorded, because, once again, someone in the middle of nowhere it could have happened to. The world is severely under-documented. There hasn't been a widely known or recorded instance of a family having 2 members who are Ornata. There are a couple of people who've been able to say, like, oh, my grandfather was one, or my great-grandfather was one, and everyone's like, oh my god, that's crazy that there are 2 people in your family who are Ornata, but it's rare and unusual. But once again, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, I'm just saying if it did, that would be, like, main character stuff, you know, for want of a better term. Or, you know, Ornata typically only have 1 golden section of their skeleton, and there's been like 1 recorded one where someone had 2, and they were like, oh my god, what's this? And it's just like this bizarre mutation that didn't really do anything, but they're like, oh, let's study their skeleton, see what happens. Asimov has made a comment a couple of videos ago before the contest about an idea for a giant Ornata whose native gold literally... Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah, I also thought of, like, I've had in the back burner for a while a giant Ornata. There is one in there in the kind of list of Ornata to draw. So it's really crazy that we came up with, like, the same idea, Asimov. That's awesome. It means you're thinking just like me. That's crazy. I can't wait to draw that Ornata and see if my vision for him matches yours. I think that'll be really cool to see if our minds have become one. Da da da. Someone's drawn Noddy on the Discord. What? Oh my god. Oh, that is... Guys, if you are not on the Discord right now, you are missing out on... I cannot overstate how accurate this drawing is. Oh my god. You have to join right now the Discord just to see this drawing of Noddy. It's... Oh my god, my heart. Thank you so much. Not a Dutch guy says, yeah, the art event. I can't draw to save my life, so I'll set this one out. But I look forward to other people's art. Hey, no worries at all, not a Dutch guy. I definitely want to do something in the future that is more writing based, especially because I'm now expanding my writing. For those of you who aren't on the Patreon, I've posted 3 short stories there now, and that's been in between working on bigger stuff. So I have a short story just kind of about an alchemist, and when I say short stories, some of them are only like short drapples, like, you know, maybe a page's worth sort of thing. An alchemist kind of having a, you know, meeting like 6 apprentices at like a small enchanter's school. An ode to Semeft, who is an Ornata from quite a while ago, that in the canon that I mentioned in the Ornata video. Written, it's like a diary entry written by one of his comrades. And most recently there is one Edie Kemlo, the young woman from the previous video, signing up for the Ordo Electi and kind of some of the bureaucratic mundanity that she kind of has to deal with. And also addressing some of the things in this setting that I think some fantasies don't touch on, and it's fine if they don't for convenience's sake or to get the bits that are important moving. But for example, Edie is like praised for the fact that she can read and write even a little bit. Like, she's slow and she's not very good at it, but she can just about do it. and the recruitment guy's like, hey, that's good enough. We have loads of people come through here that just have to sign with a cross because they can't read or write. So the fact that you can a little bit is sick. Someone says, so the primary forms of magic are based on charm and alchemy in conjunction with the three main sources of magic? Does that mean they'll eventually... There isn't three sources of magic. The magic is just like a force that's around, and gold is good at absorbing it. And the enchantment and alchemy process is just a way of, you know, really optimizing and capitalizing on that. There isn't like forms of magic. There's just magic. Not a Dutch guy says, no, so the art event is an art event primarily in a visual form this time, but because I'm getting more into the writing, hopefully, I'll try and do a writing one in the future. I think that'll be nice. And Martin says, with people using Hero Forge and like to get their ideas across so you don't have to worry. Yeah, something like Hero Forge is fine. I'm fine with that. I do want to praise people who are giving art a go. And so those are the ones that kind of will be in with a shot, I think. So we've got people there who fully admitted, I've not touched art before and this is my first time. That's kind of what I'm going for with this one, is try and get everyone to actually try and make some art for themselves. But in the future, yeah, we'll do some other stuff. Martin's doing smile while watching. Yeah. Oh, if you can hear chirping, that is Noddy. Noddy, do you want to come and say hi? Do you want to come say hi? He's getting bolder. Are you feeling up for coming on my lap? How are you feeling? He's confused. I've not picked him up like this before. You're so brave. You look so confused. No, you want to go down? Oh, it's okay. He's so brave. He's getting there. That's me tucking my chair in, don't worry. That wasn't his joints. Someone says, how are criminal Ornata dealt with? Oh, yeah, so in the Ordo Electi, if you are a petty criminal, they are probably willing to forgive that. Like if you've done a few little thefts, but you're like, hey, I'm gonna give you guys X years of military service, they are like, okay, if you don't get in trouble, we're gonna allow it. But if you're like a criminal, you just get straight to jail, you know? I'm just looking at these two and deciding which I like more. Yeah, it can only be forgiven so far in that one of the wardens and or one of the like overseers, like Cembo here, will have to like get agreement and special dispensation for like a pardon, and that is a lot of faff. So I think it probably depends on how desperate they are for recruits, if that makes sense. Like if they really need them recruits, they will probably get a pardon, or they're more likely to get a pardon. Someone says, weird question, if there was a Ornata, would they potentially have had a part of their gold limb removed? Like if they had gold in their finger bones, could someone either... Well, yeah, I mean, like, so I mentioned the wardens before and how they are specially trained to neutralize magical effects. That's not just Ornata, that's like people using specialized equipment or unusual magics and stuff like that. Some of them are just straight up soldiers. You just need manpower, you need people who are strong, you need people who are like specialists, so they also just have a bunch of like combat specialists and stuff like that. Especially because the world is so anachronistic, and so you could basically have like a bunch of Vikings come over the horizon, but they've got like a special metal that you can't pierce with a, you know, like it's such a wild setting in terms of aesthetics and tech and all of that, that the wardens are kind of trained to be prepared for anything. But some of the wardens are there as handlers, basically, and they are there to take out Ornata and or neutralize them. And if you've got someone who you know that the gold in their arm is what's giving them their ability, then you need to remove their arm if you need to disarm them. And there's a reason a lot of the wardens just carry a sword. If an Ornata's dead, they're not going to give you much more trouble. You know, it's that sort of thing. So yeah, I think there's definitely people out there. It's like, oh, you've got an ability in your hand and you're a threat. That hand is not sticking around. Into the bin with it. Just working out which of these I like more. I'm just kind of sitting with it while I answer questions and seeing how I feel. Which of the hairstyles I like more. Are there faux Ornata? No, there is people who use gold enchantment and makeup. I think there's probably been at least one person who's tried to use makeup, but yeah, there's probably some charlatans out there who've tried using makeup. But if you think about it, medieval times, where are you going to get gold glitter makeup from? It's probably not a common thing. But there's almost definitely been people who've tried their luck for whatever reason. Con artists and stuff like that. Oh, you guys could hear the broop. Oh, I'm so glad you could hear that, because it's such a cute little noise. I'm glad you could hear the little meowing sound, because he's so cute. Nate says, I can almost imagine a mercenary company in the world of Golden Bone, sponsored with gold enchanted weapons by wealthy patrons like Spanish Jesus or black cuirasses. Yeah, I think there's definitely stuff like that. Obviously, a fantasy version of it, which is fun and neat because it means that you could have them look a bunch of ways and stuff like that. But definitely there are like mercenary groups, because gold enchanted weapons aren't like falling out of trees, you know. Like, I think for a fact Cembo probably has some kind of enchanted, if not a weapon, like an item. Like, she probably has some kind of enchanted item or weapon or something like that. But like, they're not giving them out to new recruits, you know, so there would definitely be like a mercenary group where there's someone who's just independently wealthy. I think that's 100% a thing. Not a Dutch guy. I definitely have ideas about an Ornata amputee. Let me read this. No underarm left. Yeah, the power would probably be on the fritz, and or just fully would stop working, or would just kind of peter out, because obviously you have lost a chunk of the enchantment and your body would no longer resemble the thing that the enchantment is working from, right? Like I said before, it's kind of like 404 jug not found on like a golden jug or something like that. The enchantment, like the more that your body is physically changed from what it's meant to be, what the enchantment almost expects of you, the more it's not going to play ball. So yeah, you could definitely have an Ornata amputee who's like, I lost half my arm and now my power is just really bonkers and unpredictable, and I'm having to retrain and relearn to work around an enchantment that is kind of almost like Phantom Limb syndrome, is behaving weird because of that. Luma's excited to join the event. I'm excited to have you, Luma. Alex Simpkins says, if native gold was on someone's tooth, could a rune be etched on the tooth in order to enchant it? I want to say no, just because the amount of time, because it's not just about if you can physically get a rune on there. The rune process is only a small part of it. It's actually the thinking about the thing that is the more important part. You just need to be like meditating over that rune. You can't rush it. It's kind of imbuing the magic that is being absorbed into the gold with your will and your intent, and they found the best way to do that is to be slowly for hours and hours and hours and hours and days, like days and days and days, thinking about the thing. You'd be more likely to have someone have a gold tooth, like a gold denture, maybe. But once again, it's a matter of practicality. That, you know, you would need to be having someone lying down for hours and hours doing it. So I think it would be impractical to do that, but certainly like a denture wouldn't be out of the question. That might happen. Someone says, ow, I was typing that you started talking about disarming Ornata. Yeah. Foro Fiori. Disarm, really? I didn't mean to make a disarming pun. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make... I didn't mean to make a disarming pun. If you were born without a limb... Yeah, I think if you were born without a limb, then that's the way you were born, right? Like, that's not an injury. Some people are just born with, you know, like limb differences and stuff like that. I think that's the technical term for it nowadays, is a missing limb or a limb difference. I think if you were born that way, your ability would work fine, because that's maybe she's born with it. Hello, hello? You want to make more cute? You're making cute noises. Hello. I think he thinks I'm talking to him when I'm talking to you guys. Hello. You a good boy? Yeah, good boy. Could prayer work to enchant something? It has the same meditative aspect. I think so, Lil Otter. Yeah, I think they found that, like, rune work works because, I guess, you know, there's something different happens with your brain, right? When you're physically doing something, there's even more of it in there. So I think so far they've found that rune work it's a more stable one, it's more effective, it takes better, it more reliably leads to a success. Sometimes, no matter how hard someone tries, an enchantment just doesn't work and they're like, oh god, I don't know what went wrong in the process, but something went wrong, we got to start again. But like, I feel like prayer could work, and if you were quite religious you could do that, but they found that you need to physically be kind of doing something, and some even argue that maybe it's the physicality, it's the idea that you're looking at a rune and scratching into it and thinking about it and hearing it and feeling it and smelling it that might help with that. But once again, they don't know in universe, and I think it's okay to know as much as they know. Maybe they're born with it. Maybe it's Gold Skeleton. Oh yes, the mental health cat watch. Yes, I love my boy. He's just so beautiful. I did make a post shortly after I got him where I was like, I've had him for a day and a half, but if anything happens to him, you know, I'm gonna unalive myself and then everyone else. Does anyone have any thoughts on Cembo's hair, by the way? I definitely want it to be dreadlocks, because I think they're very cool, and contrary to popular belief, I think they can be, you know, contrary to stereotype, unfair stereotype, I think they can be really clean and beautiful and elegant. And I think Cembo's definitely one of those people. But I'm working out if I want it to be a little short one like this, or something a bit bigger. So if you have a preference in terms of the silhouette, do let me know. I think this one screams older and more experienced, the shorter one. I think that's giving more, like, she feels younger with the longer hair. I don't know why. But maybe that's just me. That's just how I view things. Do runes need to be specific? Yeah, they do. I think, once again, it's just trial and error has proven that seems to do the trick. And it's not also, it's kind of a double whammy, because the idea is that then by having a runic language that people know, people can understand an enchantment by looking at it. So it's also kind of like leaving an instruction manual. So it's kind of a double whammy. How do we talk to each other in Discord? It doesn't have an option. Oh, you need to, I think, Luma, you might be a little gun-ho there. If you have a read of the server rules, there will be a reaction section there, which is how we keep bots out, or try to keep bots out. Totally agree with Dreadlocks, glad to hear it. Yeah, Asimov saying, you know, keeping her high is a threat. Yeah, as I said before, she fully could be hiding her mark, and she's not. She is telling you what is there. My impression of her is pragmatism wins. I like the bigger bun. And you cannot lie. Yes, I do agree that if it's longer, it does feel like a more conscious choice, which is the idea. This is a conscious choice from her. Yeah, I think the bigger bun is winning the day, and I think the reason maybe I'm less keen on it is because it's not got this top knot vibe like here, so maybe I'm just going to experiment a little here. I do agree this is more intentional, so I'm going to delete the shorter one, but what I'm going to do is just duplicate this and play around with it being like a real top knot, if you know what I mean, like on top, and see how that looks. And if we don't like it, that's the beauty of duplicating my layers, is that we can go back. We can go back and say, no, we liked it before. The bottom of her hair would be different, wouldn't it? It would be more like this if it was... And then it more like a... almost like a top knot. No, not like that shape, more like... that shape. I'll be honest with you, I'm really glad to have such a positive response, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but to two things. One, the competition, the character sheets, the art event, the character sheets have pronouns on, because I was like, do I want to put sex? Do I want to put gender? What if someone wants to kind of play around with that? Because the setting does allow for that. I thought, I'll just, how is your character referred to? And a friend of mine, Sam from the Eternal Runes, I know did a really cool event, and I saw that some people on that were being really funny about the mention of pronouns. But also, unfortunately, because of the aesthetic of Golden Bone, which is Age of Exploration, it unfortunately did initially, until I think they caught wind of my vibe, attract some interesting individuals, people who were racist, homophobic, all of that fun stuff. And so my genuine concern going on stream today is that someone will get funny that one of the highest ranking auto electi is a black woman. And that's a horrible sign, right? Like, what's YouTube like if that's a genuine concern? But yeah, I think at this point I've kept the good eggs around, and that's kind of it, and that feels good. So thank you for just being half decent people. It shouldn't need a thanks, and yet here we are, which is a bit unfortunate, but what can you do? So now we've got more of a top knot and then a big bun. Or maybe even duplicating this one again. Hello, Mr. Broot. You little Broot. Little kitty cat. You gonna come over here? Noddy, what do you think about the socio-political atmosphere on YouTube? What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, I agree. You lick your bum. Thank you for that contribution to my stream. You are loved. You are appreciated. You see what I mean? I'm just saying, like, I'm just playing around with some shapes, but I'm wondering if to put it more on top. So we got kind of that, we got that. once again, we might go with the first one, but it's important to play around, right? It's important to play around with style and, you know, see what we're working with. And kind of think about it. Because shape is important. Shape language is important. So we'll have a think while I read some commentaries. Loomis says, "Oh, I have to like both posts. That makes more sense. Do not worry at all. Like, I'm exactly the same. Like, oh, you just heard my brain completely shut off just now. I'm also really bad for reading and doing at the same time. So you are totally fine. Do not stress. Don't worry, they'll get lit on fire before you even see them. That's so dumb. I love how she's a darker complexion. There's a reason I went for an anachronistic fantasy world, and that's because it's more fun to draw lots of different people. I think people are interesting, and it would be a shame to just limit yourself to one kind. Half decent, is that my new alignment? Yeah, that's the new D&D alignment, half decent. Half decent neutral. Yeah, it's one of those things, right? What can you do? And also, Luma, welcome to the server. I need to... Oh, we got some more people coming in. I see Tomo and I see Bigman. I'm just hitting wave on as many people as I can real quick over in the server. I can't believe I'm at a point where I can't wave to everyone because I don't have enough time. But yeah, it's... I'd love hearing your guys' questions. As I've said before, I'm not like... you know, the setting is kind of still in its infancy and things might change and all of that jazz. But the thing is like, I look at a fantasy project from one specific angle, and then, you know, your hope is that, you know, everyone looks at it from different angles, and you guys kind of get me by asking questions, thinking about things that maybe I wouldn't... Sorry, I'm just replugging in my... tablet, it's not playing ball. Yeah, you guys get me thinking about things that I maybe wouldn't normally think about. And it's also good to kind of see where the limits of my stuff is. So I have for a few questions said, I'm kind of just letting that slide, or rule of cool, or, you know, I know this isn't technically correct, but it's, you know, fun and it looks cool, so I'm keeping it, and, you know, stuff like that. It's cool to kind of self-examine and work out where my limits are in terms of those things. I don't like this middle one. I've decided that. I've decided I don't like the middle one. So now we're working out if we want big top knot, oh, probably help if this was on top. Working out if we want big top knot or where'd it go? Not that one. Get out of here. There we go. That's the next one. I like both of these. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to see which one I want to live with. And I think at this point it is just working out which silhouette I want for her. Whether I want it to be this cute pony tail puffy thing, or if I want it to be... Basically, I'm working out if I want her shape language to be kind of this, which is kind of what you get with this bun. It's kind of giving that shape to it. Whereas if you have this one, it kind of gives it this more... I think one's more effeminate is the thing, like, or stereotypically effeminate. This one gives it something a little bit more open, whereas this feels very, like, restricted, right? Like, it's very tightly tied. So I think I just need to work out what vibe I want her to give off more. Is she more relaxed in her, not retirement, but kind of like more comfortable position? Or is she like still very military and ready for action and kind of closed off. And I think you can tell a lot about a character from really simple things like that. Like, yeah, this one 100% makes her a little bit more kind of like, this is the worst handwriting I've ever done. This brush setting is not for writing. This is more like uptight, closed off. Wait. Why am I being dumb? Let's put this here. This is more closed off. And this one's more relaxed and open. I think at some point as well, kind of looping some of the cultures together, it would be cool to draw maybe someone of Bishat origin. I don't think they have a term because they don't really have a lot of interest in gold, but I think it'd be cool to have, I think the Ordo Electi would probably have like one Bishat member and it'd be like, hey, have you seen that weirdo guy? I thought Bishat were like those weird mountain people. What the hell is he doing here? What are you doing here, mountain boy? Yeah, I think it's because this one's almost more bow-like. The Discord cat has multiplied. Oh god, the Discord cat's multiplied? Oh, these are so cute. Yeah, Noddy is the executive producer of all my videos. It's so good of him to stop by. He's currently, I'm looking across the room and he's staring at me from the doorway, but like half his face, so it's just this, he's an all black cat by the way, so it's just this black void and this one eye. I can see you, baby, you're not stealthing it, I can see you. I can see you, sweetheart. Okay, no, he's walked away. So it says, I love your content and world. Thank you so much. You've gotten to the point of the stream, you've joined just the right time where I am... I mean, is it really one of my streams if I'm not absolutely stressing out over a really benign detail? Hell yeah, more cat on Discord. Yes, there is. My vote goes to the original. I mean, if we're voting, the one on the left feels more cultural, the one on the left feels more stylized. Yeah. Glory to Enavas, says Space Dragon. Yes, absolutely. Glory to Enavas, guys. The United Lands under Enavas, where everyone is definitely happy and equal, and there isn't any political issues whatsoever, and everything is great. Okay. People are offering their thoughts on the hairstyle. Please do. I'm just gonna ponder on it for a little bit. Black Voids for the win. Yeah, absolutely. He's a little black void. I love him. Yeah, I agree, Bois moment. It's kind of like the angled bun is more dynamic, and then the upward one is a little bit more, I guess, stoic. I thought people started talking about which of the cat pictures is better and forgot the original stream, says Martin. Hello, Mr. Zoomy, what are you doing? He's got like this rustle bag that's designed to like rustle and kind of like crack and crackle to get him playing. And he's also got a tunnel that does the same, and I think he just got into one of those. So if you hear a crash, that's him. Yeah, I can still see he's back to doing like the one half of him, like one eye peering around the door. I can see you, sweetheart. Okay. I'm just gonna enjoy that. Mr. Zoomies is really zooming. Oh my god. I literally, that is Zashugan, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of your name, but I know that you're listening to the stream because you keep drawing Noddy in the chat. These are so delightful. Like, I am beaming ear to ear. I wish that Noddy understood what art was so that I could, like, you know that meme where it's like people holding up, I think it was first their dog or like their baby, but it's like showing things my cat has never seen before, and it's like his fan art. This is so delightful. I'm so happy. If you can hear crashing, that's my Zoomy boy. Hello. Goodbye. He's the living embodiment of there's like this person on Instagram who does like charcoal drawings of like cats with zoomies. And it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and I love it so much. Hello. Yeah, you good? How you feeling? Okay. You do what you gotta do, buddy. It's so depressing now because I was trying to look it up on Google Images, and half of the stuff that's coming up is AI generated art of cats supposedly drawn with charcoal. It's depressing, man. God, Google Images is ruined. What a shame. Right. I'm umming and ahhing. I think the reason I'm umming and ahhing is because I'm trying to think how it's going to look when it's got colour on. I haven't even drawn her hands yet. I think what I'm going to do real quick is just kind of have a look at her with her skin kind of at max darkness. This little skin study I did earlier. As I said, trust me, once I take the sketch layer off, it is okay, but it's not great. You can even see some really harsh pixelated lines here where I was like adjusting the colors or doing color hue overlays and merging down, so it's a bit rough up close, but with that nice sketch layer it really does add a lot of texture to it. So we're just gonna hope and pray that it stays that way. And let me tidy up a little bit. There we go. We'll keep some of that sketchiness. I think it gives it some vibes, but there we go. Hello. You alright? Mm-hmm. What? Good boy. Like, let's look at it with like her skin. I probably need to reduce the shine on it, but that's about what I was imagining for her. Yeah, this is too dark now. Well, not too dark as in like her skin too dark, but the contrast here is a little much. So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna duplicate this again, as is my custom, and I'm gonna just work some of this back a bit. So get one of her midtones, lighten up some sections. I think this worked when I was doing like a high contrast study, but then it just kind of like stopped being as efficient. Especially because this is probably higher contrast and higher detail than I've gone with a lot of mine. Once again, do not panic. I have backups for this. I think that'll do, just for now. Yeah, because from a distance that works, and that's what I want. I want it to work from a distance. It's about passing that across the room test more than anything else. So let's get one that's not pressure sensitive going. I'm just going to slam some colour down, and I'm going to see how that silhouette looks. And I think that'll help me make my decision about the hair. And then it'll be like shaved here at the sides. It'll be like a... In fact, let me fill out this head a little bit. Let's see what we're working with. Because there'll be some stubble there. I think she shaves it, but there's only so much you can do, right? Something like that. Maybe a bit of that, blah, blah, blah. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. I'm kind of slapping some of that colour down so I can kind of see where I want to be putting in some of that hair. I think the hair needs to be less saturated than that. I want it to be blacker rather than brown. Like a brownish black, but definitely more of a black than a brown. I'll get some of that pressure sensitivity back in so I can kind of I like the idea of it being very, like, scraped back. Like, there's still some precision to it, you know. She's a bit more relaxed, maybe, but she's, like, you know. She knows what looks good. She likes to be tidy. And then maybe a stubble. So something a bit more like that. So there's A. That's looking very cool. I definitely need to thicken this line here. The sketch layer is not showing now that I've got this down. I didn't go dark enough with the line art on the face, so I'll need to add more. You can see here, like, the shape of her face looks completely different from how it looks here. See if I can increase the sketch layer, but just for the face. So I'm just gonna, get rid of that. Because there's like a under sketch layer for the clothes. So I'm gonna kind of do a bit of this. I'm gonna kind of cheese it a little. Then do that. Yeah, because without the sketch layer, it really does change the shape of the face. I think the sketch layer was doing a lot more heavy lifting than I thought it was. Whoopsie. Yeah, that feels better. Like, her face just has a bit more definition now. There we go. Okay, feeling good about it now. So we've got that one. So that's one. Let's delete this. That's one. The And now we're going to do 2, and we're just going to feel out the shape. I think that's the way for it. If you're not sure, just you know, this piece of art isn't going to live in isolation. It's going to exist in a wider context, and that wider context is this piece of art. So it's important to test it as such. We were on the thing again. There we go. I was on pressure sensitivity. This is going to be a cloth of some kind here, and so is this bit here, but I'm going to just colour the whole thing in for now. Because while it will affect the shape of the thing, it's not going to affect the silhouette, and the silhouette is more what I'm interested in at the minute. Just to kind of take you through my thought process, kind of bring you along for the ride with me. And then we will give it one of these. Okay. Now I think I feel like I have a slightly better grasp on how this is gonna look. Let me just have a little peek at the chat. Oh, no, we're all good. People are just kind of watching, or they're just listening to me in the background. I'm just gonna take a little drink. Being pinged. Who's pinging me? Do not ping me. I do not wish to be pinged. Tell you what, I'm gonna ignore this for now. I'm gonna take a leaf out of my own book for once. And that is, if you're struggling with something, take a break from it. So I'm going to ignore Cembo's hair for now, because apparently I can't decide. I know that a lot of you are saying the big one, but then like, I personally am really torn because I really like both of them. So I'm going to do some hands. I'm just gonna take a break. That feels like the thing to do. I'm just gonna tidy up some of her clothes a little bit. And maybe work on the sketch layer a bit, because she's got a lot of, I did like a study of a model, and obviously a lot of that is now no longer visible. So I'm just gonna, some of it works, like some of the bits I'm keeping in, but some of them can go, and that's what I'm doing now. We can also get, where does it sit? Oh, there we go. Tidy up the skin. Don't worry, that will be the same regardless of which hairstyle we choose, because I did the hair colour and hairline art on different things. So even if we did that one, it's all good. I got backups. This is why I make backups. There it is. There you are, my pretty. Oh, and then I immediately goofed it. That's always a good sign. I'm sure someone more philosophical than me out there would say, well, goofing it means that you're trying. And you know what? They would be right. What is... Oh, that's what I did. Well, it's kind of going to be... The hands are going to be more or less hidden by this big cape thing now, so... Well, the one at the back is, so I'm less concerned with that one now. And I think some of this adds texture. We can get rid of these toes down here, though. The toes can go. Because she is not barefoot. I don't know why I drew those toes. I think it's because I was was going off of a couple of reference images, and typically if I'm drawing like a standing form, I will go onto Pinterest and I will look up men's or women's swimwear or underwear shots, and it's just because not only do they make for great references, but also a lot of the time as well, seeing like shorts and or tops on a body really help me break down my like sketch into parts, like parts of the torso. I just find it easier to reference them. But it also means that sometimes I go a bit gun-ho and I start referencing parts that just aren't there. Well, aren't going to be there in the final sketch. Like typically if I was drawing a foot, I'd probably just do something like this. You know, if that was like a foot frontways on. But because I'm going off of an image, if I get too in the zone, I just kind of start drawing whatever I see. I'm gonna try and consolidate those hair things soon, because they're starting to get a little, whoa, like light study copy 2, copy 3, like they're starting to get a little silly in their names. Now, I am not actually very good at hands. I either accidentally draw them right the first time, or I spend 9 hours trying to get them to work, and we are going to see which of those I am today. I think it's going to be the 9-hour option, but I can't say that with 100% certainty, so we will see. We will see what we're dealing with. This is also very good for me that I'm streaming today, because I have recently been back on an addiction from my childhood, and it shames me to admit it, but it's Harvest Moon DS. I was a big Harvest Moon fan as a kid. I recently recharged my DS. I got a craving for the old days, and then I forgot how addicted I was to it, where I'd be like, just one more day, and then it would be like, I don't know, several hours later. I don't know what it is about that game, but I'm bad for it. Don't know what the hand's doing. This is a bit of an awkward... This is a very concept art pose where it's just trying to show off stuff. I do have a need to widen out this, because you can see if I add a new layer... no, I want red. There you go. If this is where the hand kind of ends, this is... I've kind of changed fundamentally the shape of where the arm would be, so it would be more like here. Which is why I'm kind of expanding that sleeve out a little bit. Yeah, that'd be better. Cembo, you're looking so pretty. Good for Cembo, honestly. She's earned it. Who would have thought that not that long ago, when I did this little sketch of her, and I had this exact thing in my mind, that she'd be like the one in charge, or one of the ones in charge. She'd have eyes on the back of her head, all of that jazz, and it just feels really cool to now be like, and here she is, look, she's getting like proper artwork. Good for her. Oh, my chat is glitching out. Why is my chat being like that? Right, give me a second. It's being really slow and laggy, so I didn't see a ton of your stuff. For some reason, OBS is being really funky. There we go. Okay, OBS, come on, man. Get it together. For context, it didn't show anything after Lil Otter said, I like the right one, so I'm going to catch up on some messages real quick. I enjoy the angled burn, a lot more shape language. The car art, it's spreading again. Pinterest also so bad. I hate the AI art stuff. Yeah, me too. The AI art stuff is a real, not like nuisance when searching for things, I swear to God. Yeah, the AI image stuff is just atrocious a lot of the time. And also, it's the stuff that masquerades as classical art, so you'll want to be getting references from like the classics, and they make them look like classical art now, and it's like, come on man, just let me have this. AI image ads, yeah, me too. Oh, he's vocal, says someone. Yes, he is. Oh, so that Ropium Bizarro heard Noddy. That is so cute. Oh, they can have a virtual cat play date. Asimov's having a crashing issue. Oh, that's so annoying. I'm sorry to hear that, my guy. You might have so if you look carefully at the server rules, we do have a thing where you have to like some posts so that you can come in, which is just a small, obviously it's not 100% foolproof, but kind of a little bit of a bastion against bots. So maybe that's it. I'm not sure. I wish I could help more. How do you pronounce that name? Says Chatterding. I'm assuming you mean Cembo's name. It's Cembo Aloy. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation because these are based off of / inspired by real African names, I believe West African. But yes, in this context, Cembo Aloy is her name. My cat says hello. All the talk of Noddy brought him in. Oh, look at all of our cats having a little virtual meeting. And Asimov's managed to join the server. Oh god, this is an emotional rollercoaster catching up on the chat. As someone says, at the end of the day, her hair is fluid. It could change depending on the occasion. It very much could. It'd be kind of neat to have like 2 different hairstyles for her or something. I could maybe have it kind of like I have it here. I like finish colouring her and then have like a, oh, here's one hairstyle, here's another. Hi, Jack Melford. If you have an OC, here's probably not the most efficient space to tell me about it, but if you nip over to the server, we do actually have like an OC art event at the minute. So if you want to nip over to there and you can like kind of read over stuff or, you know, chat there, that's probably a better space just because I obviously have a lot of things to get through here, and also won't be able to see any of the artwork. Yeah, do feel free to head on over. That's probably a good spot. Individual curls artistically styled look good. I definitely think individual curls would be good for someone with curly hair. I think Cembo probably does have a is it a 4 type? I'm bad with the hair types, but it's like a 4 type. But it's currently not styled in curls, it's styled in dreads, which are different. As people put hair isn't a permanent thing. You are right. I don't know why I'm well, I wasn't labouring over it, I just stopped and decided to work on her hand instead, but yeah, I'll probably just keep it with like, here's her 2 hairstyles. Martin had to head off. Oh, I'm sorry I missed him. Noddy talking caught on stream. Will the VOD of this stream be saved, says Reblaze. Yes, it will. I always post my VODs, so that'll be there. Yeah, doing different types of braids and hairstyles on different days is really fun. Oh, Bonky! What are you... Bonky, Bonky, you're so nice, thank you. I did promise before, after you gave me that very kind donation the other day, that I was going to get Noddy a cat toy that was skull themed in honor of you, and I have not been able to find a cat safe skull toy on my end yet, but I am going to a different pet store to get him some stuff tomorrow, and apparently they have some weird toys, so he's gonna get a skull toy. That is still on the agenda. But thank you so much. Reblaze44 says, I'm thinking of making a character for your Ornata art event. Do you have any advice or tips for making a better design or one that's more likely to win? I mean, don't go into it, like I said, thinking of it as a competition over an art event. More than anything, it's more about just making sure that you're, you know, making something. That's kind of what I was kind of aiming more for with it. Maybe I shouldn't have offered like an incentive with the, oh, I think I'll make the one I like the most canon, but like I'm gonna be doing some streams hopefully in the future where I, like, as the event progresses, just look at some of the entries and just talk about them and admire them, and you know, obviously it gives some people some promotion. But I would say just, you know, read the lore carefully, rewatch the videos, have some fun with it, and go weird. Like, as I said before, don't make it just, oh, and they are like super cool and elegant and beautiful and they can read minds and see the future and all of this. Like, do something real weird. I've got a guy that can like taste emotions, you know, like a snake tastes the air, you know, have some fun with it, make it weird and specific. Before Cembo was gonna have her current ability, her ability was gonna be that she could ignite a spark from like 100 yards or whatever distance it was going to be, you know, 100 yards just an arbitrary number, from a certain distance away. So obviously in isolation a spark isn't tons, but she could, for example, set fire to the edge of someone's cape without them noticing. She could ignite gunpowder from a distance. She could look through someone's window and ignite their curtains, and obviously given long enough that could cause someone to you know, something to burn down, or she would have like oil and she would throw it on people and cause a little spark. So she wasn't even like fiery, she could just cause like a flint spark, you know, so be silly. Gotta be honest, I saw her walking around an encampment a moment ago wearing her hair in a pair of short braids, just test whether those under her are paying attention. That's great. Jack, thank you so much, Jack. That's a really kind donation. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you on the server. You guys, this is so sweet. There's so many of you joining from this stream that I got a little note. I think that's what it is. And about, I'll have to check after the stream, but I got a little notification saying, oh, there's unusual activity. You know, like there's some unusual activities. So many people are joining, so that's really kind. Replay says, I'm Nigerian and I like her name, although her last name are from 2 different parts of Africa. Is that intentional? Yes, it was, yeah. With a lot of the names in this setting, it's, if I'm not outright making up the names, I'm trying to not make them from any one part of the world, and I definitely, you know, Africa's such a huge continent, and yet people seem to completely homogenize and generalize a lot of cultures from there, which I don't think is cool. You know, like I've got a friend from Zimbabwe, and how they are is like completely different from like my friend from Kenya, for example, or from Egypt. So it's cool that you picked up on that. And yes, yeah, it's kind of intentional to not make any of the cultures from this setting from any one place. You might have noticed that some of the, and going forward that will continue, some of the native people from Enavas will have names where like one name is from Scotland and the other one's from like Portugal or something like that. So hopefully that comes across, and I'm glad that you like the names, and you will have to give me a kick up the pants if the pronunciation is incorrect. I know that this is a fantasy world and it could be like, oh, in this world it's pronounced this way, and also I have a horrible British accent, so that's probably not helping. But yes, that was the intention. Was it Twitter you said check? No, the Discord. The Discord's the place to check. So if you look in the description to this video, or like, I think I went back and updated like my last 5 videos, so the description on any of those should hopefully have the link to the Discord. So hopefully that plays ball for you. But thank you for the feedback, guys. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one more look at this. And then whichever one I don't go with, I will do a secondary box to the left here. And that'll be like her alternate hairstyle. So we're going to call this her 1. call this hair 2. And then we're going to call, oh, is that? I'm going to call that hair 2. That hair 1. Yeah, we'll go with that one for now. And then the tied up one will be like a little alt art that'll go on the side. Let's get that cute little, her little updo, her little I mean business now hairstyle. Let's get that going. Let's put that over here. Whoosh. Beautiful. Now, that being said about, oh, not everyone from the setting is like crazy pretty or whatever. I did want Cembo to be pretty, like, striking, you know, like she's the kind of person where she's been around long enough that there's like rumors about her, like, I heard that she did this crazy thing, or, you know, all of that jazz. Like, I want it to feel like she's kind of like, oh my god, it's the myth, the legend. I definitely need to add like maybe a couple of like stress lines or scars and stuff like that, but I think that's more of a secondary thing. I think what we want for now is to just, once again, like with the other Ornata designs, I left a lot of this very texturous, you know, I didn't do like clean line art, but I do want to clean up this a little more, especially because in some sections here it's not really translating well. I'm also going to soften up the edges here. And then I could always go back in and paint over it. There we go. This is like meant to be, there's a name for this kind of collar, but they basically have like some wraps around it and you like really tightly tie off. Or do I want to do that? No, we'll go for a collar. We'll go for a collar because I think otherwise that ruffle is less impactful. If you get what I mean. And what I'll probably do after I've firmed this up just a little bit, you know, we're going to keep a lot of that nice texture, is I will probably colour some of the line art. I always like doing that. I always think that adds a little something. And I think there's something I do find personally, not on others, like some people really nail it, but for me personally, I find a lot of my clean line art boring. I really enjoy just having fun and letting some of that texture really come through. How do they do over here? I do like that. Maybe we'll have it so there's a bit of... Yeah, there's some like lace in the sleeve there. Just because I like it. And she deserves a little bit of fashion. I also, you know, I've never gotten it where in like I think women get away with it actually more so than guys in stereotypical media, is the idea that someone can't be like rugged and combat ready but also like just enjoy looking nice. Like I think Cembo is more like she's practical, but I think she, you know, likes looking neat and tidy and turned out. I think she feels good when she's like that. She likes a little bit of ruffle. She likes looking intimidating in that sense of like, wow, she looks really poised and like elegant and well put together. And you know, you get a lot of like rugged men in media, but I also think like men sometimes, like men can be like cool badasses. You know, like Bond, for example, James Bond likes to look nice and well turned out and all that jazz, and I think we need more of that. I think we need more badasses in fantasy who aren't like, oh yes, and I must be a sexy seductress, but just like, I like to look good. I feel good and I look good. God knows a lot of them have earned it. I'm gonna remove this because I don't know if I want to do that, or if I want to do embroidery here. I want to do something here. I think Edie Kemlo's one had buttons, so maybe we'll go for like a embroidery on this one. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. I've talked myself into it. Honestly. Honestly. She's looking cool, man. She's looking good. I feel good about this one. I'm wondering if to also kind of maybe break up her design a bit with a sword. I was thinking maybe like and then it could be like, don't worry, I've done some separate layer as per. Something like that. Like, almost have it look a little ceremonial. Like maybe it's not one that's used a whole lot. I think what I might even just do is, just because I think she'd have a really nice ceremonial sword and I need practice drawing better swords, I'll do it like this, and then I'll do like a, maybe not today, but like a character sheet style, like, and here's what her sword looks like, you know, like next to her. Because I think it would be good to see what her sword looks like, but I think if it's going to be like this ceremonial thing, I think that it would be good to have a separate reference for that. For my own benefit, if anything, if I draw her again in the future, which I hope to do. Comes out here. Oh, no, I need to resist the urge to shade that. I'm going to let the colouring shade that bit. And you know what time it is? I'm going to flip the canvas. Woo! I think I've answered it before, but just to answer again, that one of the reasons that I like to flip the canvas is because it, one, it gives you a new perspective, but two, most of us have a bias. When I draw a straight line, it almost always, because I'm right-handed and very heavily right-handed, almost always curves this way. And sometimes when I'm doing lines, it's just easier to flip the canvas. Like if I was doing her face here, I just have more of a natural bias to this direction. You know? Than I do if I was going the other way. Kind of want this to dip in a little. like it's almost pinched or gathered here. I think I'm just going to tidy this up a bit, and we will have to come back to Cembo another day because I am flagging. It's been a long week, and I am getting sleepy. And also I think Noddy probably wants a little bit of TLC. For those of you uninitiated, our good friend and executive producer, my cat Noddy, is a indoor cat. I adopted him knowing that he's FIV positive, which means he can't really go outside. I know it's less common in other parts of the world, but here in the UK it is quite traditional to allow your cats to go outside, but Noddy will need a catio once he's a bit more settled in. But it's because he's FIV positive. But he's a massive iPad baby. Like, he will sit and watch TV with you for hours. I have a compilation of like him just watching TV. It's insane. He will complain at you to turn the TV on for him. I'm not in the living room right now. I am in my bedroom, and I have left the TV on for him, and he's not here, so I think he might be watching TV. Yeah, he's probably, what he really likes to do though is sit and watch TV with people, and I think the reason he kept coming back and peeking around the corner was because he could hear me talking, and I'm not with him watching TV. How dare I? Joking aside, it is so like so my previous cat I had up until August of last year. His name was Daisy because I was like 5 when I got him. Or around that age, and he lived to be 22 years old, which is a very ripe old age. He had such a good run for a cat, but also, as you can imagine, having anyone, animal or human or otherwise, in your life for that long and then losing them is very difficult, and it took me a while before I was kind of ready to love again. But Noddy has definitely, I think it's because he's his own person, you know. He's not the same as my cat, my previous cat. He's his own little guy, and good for him. I hope as well that these streams, I'm failing adequately on these streams in the sense of like, you know, I'm trying and failing because I'm such a worrywart, but I'm trying to be less precious with these. Also, I saw some people suggesting some like accessories for her. I agree, I hear you. I tend to add stuff like jewelry last because when I'm doing this paint over style, this was ages ago, someone suggested some jewelry, but just referencing back to it, if I was doing, I need to redo her ear. If I was doing earrings, for example, I'd do something like this, and then I would just like lock the alpha and then go in and just kind of do it like that. That's kind of how I block out jewelry, and buttons and stuff, and it tends to work pretty well. So all the little details, like little decorations or even little roughly lacy embroidery bits, will come later. I just, they're in my head. I've kind of laid them out in my head where they're gonna go, but they just need to get there. For sure, for sure. I had someone ask me the other day why I don't collab with Drawfee, and I was like, if I could I would, but yeah, I think it's weird to me that people assume all of the drawing YouTubers know me now or something. It's like I'm actually quite a humble content creator. I think most people probably quite fairly don't know who I am. I don't know if I could like deal with the ego death of becoming super well known. The only reason I was thinking of that is because I met up with some friends the other night, and they're very, very sweet about all of this stuff and have been very supportive of like kind of my channel kicking off. I couldn't ask for better friends really, especially because they're all in the arts and creative spaces, and I don't know, like some people in the arts and creative spaces have this real like dog eat dog mentality, like there's only enough room for a certain number of people at the top, and if you're not the best artist in the world, they get very resentful of that. But all of my friends, if they've thought that, then they've kept it to themselves, and they've been really ultra positive and kind. And I don't think they're keeping anything to themselves. I think they're just nice people. And I was just thinking today how lucky I am, and how lucky I am to have you guys as well, especially now that I think I've hopefully filtered out most of the weird white supremacist people who originally commented on the original Golden Bone video. I've actually got a video in the works, which I'll probably send a little preview of to my Patreon lot on the... There's a Patreon only section of the Discord, and I put little works in progress in there. I've been doing a Hades inspired design recently, because as you know, I like to do other things on the channel too. And that I'm hoping to put up soon. I've got the art done. I just needed to write a script, because I don't want the whole thing to be silence, you know, I want to talk about my process. But this evening I sat down to finish that script, and I could not. I needed to reset my brain, you know, so hopefully this evening will... Well, it's an evening for me, will have let me reset my brain a little bit. I hope so. Ooh, she's looking fine now, gang. She's looking good. Good for you, girl. Let me just read some of this chat while I chug on my drink. Sorry, I just realised I did that right up close to the microphone. I forgot the mic was there. And I've just realised what a horrible noise that must have been. I am so sorry. Someone says, thank you for the lovely chill stream. It's just what I need after a stressful week. Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. That makes me so happy, honestly, Alex. And like I say, if like you guys are like, oh, I want to listen but not watch, or watch but not listen, or you're like, I just want to skim through the VOD later, that's all fine by me. I don't take offense. Once I make the content, you guys consume it however works best for you. The left one's more casual style, and then the top bun, yeah, I think the top bun, the tight one, is like her on-duty style, and then the looser one is more like, I'm at ease, I'm walking around my office, and then I think that top bun is more like, I'm about to see combat. Like that top bun is definitely giving like practical vibes for sure. But one moment says, I can't remember if it was mentioned before, but does the gold stick to a localized area on a person, or can it be? This is already answered on Discord, but only one region. Hey, look at you, Schnauzer Wizard. Yes, this is what the Discord was made for. Hooray, I'm spreading the knowledge until I can get it centralized somewhere. Replay says, that makes sense, although I don't know, some people don't like it when cultures are mixed in fantasy. I think Ryan Last Dragon got bad criticism. I definitely think it's interesting though, at least it's not only the African cultures in the world getting combined lol. Yes, yeah, I think the big thing for me is that it's... yeah, and I take your point, Reblaze, and if someone did have critique of me using parts of, like, for example, African names and stuff like that, it's always a really tricky one to walk the line of, and I would never claim to be an expert on that. I have some training in this area and experience, and even I don't get it, no one gets it right 100% of the time. I think for me, the reason I will hopefully always tread that line is because all of the cultures in this setting are fictional ones. I'm hoping next stream to start doing some sketches for a video on paragons and the Last Exodus, which are like 2 points of a faith called myriadism, which I mentioned very, very briefly in the Ornata video. And they are like full over-the-top gothic fantasy. They are definitely like the gothic fantasy end of this setting, because we've not kind of gotten into the truly unusual bonkers shit yet. And I'm hoping that by mixing the ridiculous fantasy stuff with the real world stuff, it will feel more like I'm drawing inspiration rather than claiming this is like how a culture is. There's another group that have influences from both like Peru and Mongolia, which are like obviously two completely different ends of the world, and then the Venn diagram of the two of them is mixed with some fantasy stuff. So I do take your point, and hopefully it didn't come across that I was homogenizing African culture through ignorance. It was more I'm trying to not tie it to any one location. So hopefully I've done that, and if not, I'm always happy to hear critique on that. Asimov, I love how much you like. I'm so glad that Cembo's giving those vibes to you. She is meant to be like, you know, she's the guy, you know, especially for the Ornata, because the wardens, depending, as an individuals, they're fine, but I think as a unit, some of them can be pretty cruel and unfair towards Ornata, especially because some of the recruits are like, hi, like look at Edie, for example. Edie's like, hey, I can barely read and write. It's a miracle I can do either of those things. I come from abject poverty. I'm incredibly malnourished. I can just about use a hunter's rifle. And some wardens are like, all right, kiddo, you've had a month to get over being awakened. Get into combat, you malnourished idiot. And it's like, no, that's Cembo is someone who very much is like, these guys are doing military service and we treat them like military specialists, and you know, she's the advocate for these guys. She's harsh. She's still very much like, you signed up for this and you're a soldier, but she's like, we give them a fighting chance. These guys aren't fodder, you know? I want someone who's like an advocate for the Ornata. Asimov being like a Pedro Grunt doing nothing but praise Cembo would be funny. Asimov, you're giving me ideas, man. Honestly, like, you know, we could have like, you know, like, she does need her little like guy. She needs like her little underling who's like, yes, miss, yes, Miss Aloy. He's just kind of there, like. There we go. This is canon. One sec. No, I shouldn't say that even jokingly. Inside you there are two wolves. I'm so sorry. I think I'm losing my marbles. Oh god. Oh, so there was an issue on mobile and someone's fixed the issue on mobile. Okay, great. There's so many people joining Discord. It gave a raid warning to the staff. Yeah, it did. It gave a raid warning for us. It's crazy, right? I love that. That's so fun. Schnauzer says, excited when the ttrpg in the works was announced. Okay, yeah, so obviously the ttrpg, those who are on Patreon get access to the Patreon exclusive part of the server, and that will include, among other things, one second, I'm just getting, where did I put, oh, here we go. We need to, I'm starting the colours now. I'm starting with just like a really garish colour. Just so that I can see it going down, if you get what I mean, like onto the paper. The first ttrpg isn't Golden Bone related, only because a bit about my background for those of you who haven't lurked on the streams. I have written for actually like published tabletop RPGs and stuff like that, but never my own stuff. And also I've got lots and lots of ideas in my head, not just Golden Bone, unfortunately, as a lot of creatives I'm sure can relate to. And so Golden Bone isn't finished yet, but I really want to kind of do two birds with one stone, which is get some other ideas out, but also practice on a smaller project, because in the end I would really like to make Golden Bone into a tabletop RPG. I think that would be a really wonderful thing, and so many people are interested, but that's like a big long-term project, you know. I work full-time, there's only so many hours in the day, I've not even like finished developing the world yet. And so I kind of wanted to do a smaller project where I can practice, you know, getting something from start to finish, the playtesting process, getting something on Kickstarter, all of that, because if that goes well on a small project, then that means that when I get a chance to then do Golden Bone, everything will just go really smoothly. It won't be my first rodeo. It felt like a good mixture of not even just cautious, but just like, you know, doing, you know, just building up to it and practicing and admitting I don't know everything yet, and it might be good to get something else out. So the tabletop RPG I have in the works at the minute is called Cryptic, and it is basically it's a lighter system. It's less D&D and more kids on bikes, if you're familiar with, or any exploding dice system. And it is, the big twist with Cryptic is it is a tabletop RPG designed to be played asynchronously. So it still has a DM, but it is played asynchronously and has like actual physical and digital communication methods. So everyone does their role-playing segment of it one-on-one with the GM, and then obviously without giving too much away, because that'll be for the play testers to see, you have to use actual like remote methods of communication with limitations on to communicate with your teammates. So it's designed, as I'm sure a lot of fellow adults and teenagers in the chat can relate to, for when you can't get everyone in the same room at the same time, because oh boy is that the issue that we all have. So I'm trying, hopefully, to design a tabletop RPG that helps solve that problem, and we will see how it goes. Just a really big hype man. I like the idea of Cembo having a hype man. 1 second, I'm just reading the chat. Also really excited. This has inspired me. Thank you so much, says Kingpin Hidora. I'm so pleased to hear it. I hope you create something fun. Thank you people for explaining what a ttrpg is. Sorry, I should have clarified. Now that you've joined the Patreon, how to get into the exclusive Discord channel, what you'll need to do, Jack, is make sure that you have a Discord account linked to your Patreon account, and then it will automatically give you the tag in our Discord server. And then you'll have access to the like Patreon section. I've never played Lancer actually, but there's so many tabletop RPGs I want to play and just haven't had the chance to. And if it sounded like my voice dipped out there, it's because I'm looking over at my my big shelf filled with tabletop RPGs, and I'm thinking about all the time I'd like to have to play them. Big Man says, hello, this is my first time chatting. I wanted to ask if all clothing should have European influence. I'm currently attempting to make a character for the event. So Big Man, and what a cool username. So there is a style guide for you with the event details, and that'll be all about kind of like the fashion in Enivas. But if you want to bring in fantasy elements or elements inspired by other cultures or kind of something else like that, that's also totally valid, especially because Enivas as a whole is a huge melting pot in the sense that, and especially the Ordo Electi, where they kind of invite dissenters. So if you want to hint that your character has armor, history, weapon, something from a different culture, you're welcome to throw a little something in there, if you know what I mean. People want to start brainstorming already. I love it. I love the enthusiasm. A weird little guy that scurries uncomfortably past. Yeah, Cembo needs a weird little guy. That's what she needs. Also, when someone joins the Order Electi, are they awakened before or after the military service? They are awakened as part of the military service. So wardens who are basically, so the guy I mentioned before, who I showed in that video, Anthony Warwick, he is an incredibly unusual exception because he's actually an Ornata. He's unawakened. He's basically because of toxic masculinity from his captain dad. And his dad isn't like in the Order Electi. His dad is a captain in the big military, you know. The Order Electi is specialist. It's big, but it's not as big as like the Crown military, you know, like they're the big dogs. And so, you know, Anthony has a lot to live up to. But he's against a massive amount of pressure from other people, as an Ornata decided not to become awakened, which is an exception. Most of the wardens, almost all of the wardens, 99% of the wardens aren't Ornata. They are normal humans. The Ornata that join don't have military training, but the wardens do have to have at least had some. They usually come from military backgrounds and a few other kinds of backgrounds. But they already have training. The Ornata could, once again, like I said, be a farm person. And so the only thing that they... Sorry if I'm talking weird, it's because I'm thinking it out loud and my brain is slow today. If an Ornata joins, they could basically be like an illiterate farm guy who can't count, you know? Like, and that's the vast majority of the population. And so the only thing they bring to the table is they might be able to shoot lightning. Like, that's it. So they are always like, they're like, hey, how do you do? Let's confirm that you're actually an Ornata. Cool, there's your mark. All right, next week, we're scheduling you in, or like next month, we're scheduling you in. You're going to come in, you're going to get awakened, and then you're going to have some recovery time where we're going to get you to kind of learn the ins and outs. If you can't read or write, we're going to try and like improve that a little bit. And then they're like, right, let's get you shooting some guys, or stabbing some guys, or shooting arrows at some guys. That's kind of it. GURPS is great. Never played GURPS. I've not played GURPS either. God, there's so many good tabletop RPGs I've not played. Asimov, yeah, I mean, what I would probably do is I would just do something cheeky, like I would call them like, you know, William Asimov or something. I'll probably stick at some point I want to stick someone's name in there, but I'll have a think. At the minute I'm just sticking with what I've got. I've already got a load of Ornata and Wardens planned in my head that I would like to draw, so it will have to come at a certain time. Exploding dice. I've played White Wolf games before, if that's the thing you mean. So exploding dice system, the long and short is well, in my system, and so do a lot of exploding dice systems, this isn't like the key factor, but I think in my system I'm calling it Cascade, but the general term is exploding dice. You basically assign one of each of the polyhedral sets, so a d4, a d6, a d8, etc., to a stat. And then when you make a check with that stat, you roll that dice. So a d4 for strength, or a d6 for cunning, or something like that. And then if you hit the maximum number on the dice, you get to roll it again and add those up. So a d4, you're probably going to roll lower, but you have a 1 in 4 chance of what's called exploding or cascading, or whatever you want to call it. A d20, you're consistently going to get a higher number, but you're less likely to explode. And that's the key bit of any quote-unquote exploding dice systems, if that makes any sense. Being a numbers mechanics neurodivergent in creative community is funny because I'm like the assistant with a clipboard while everyone makes things. I mean, like, I'm neurodivergent as far as the doctors told me anyway. I mean, they could be lying, but I don't think they are. You can do the art as well. You can have it all. Unless you're me, because apparently I can't read the chat and write at the same time. I think that's a sign that my upper, like, cognitive function is fully shutting down at this point, because usually I can read in at least do these. This isn't the color she's going to be, by the way. This is me just getting the base down, and then I'm going to lock the alpha or the opacity, or whatever you want to call it, and then I can just kind of like color in, and it means that I can throw down colors kind of willy-nilly afterwards. So it's laying a bit of groundwork, and then it's nice and easy. And I like working lazy because I'm lazy. Are there any attempts to empower or even weaken Ornata powers by alloying the gold with another metal? You wouldn't be able to alloy them because they are, they're in their skeleton, so you wouldn't really be able to alloy them, unfortunately. Sorry, my phone doesn't like your name. Paint your Discord with instructions. Obsidian Notes is my go-to. Bold and Gone, Bold and Brash. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, like, sucking... Yeah, practice is the name of the game. Just reading that last little bit in the chat there. You know, I didn't start off like this, and I don't know, like... I think just by virtue of being world-building projects, I tend to get lumped in a lot with Simon from Golden Bone. Not from Golden... I got lumped in a lot with Simon from that video I did on Golden Bone. He's Monster Garden, but, you know, from that Golden Bone video, the first one. And, obviously then I'm, like, comparing myself to him, and I shouldn't do that because he's, you know, very, very good. And this is the thing, is, like, I think, you know, practice is so important, and it's so important to remember that, like, you know, people don't all start from the same position, and, you know, like, what you bring to the table will be different. So I know for me, people aren't just here for the art, they're here for, like, the story, or if you really like writing, or, like, if you really like writing and you want to maybe practice sound design, so you could do, like, a radio play soundscape type thing, or, you know, you just got to start somewhere, right? Fail faster, that's the name of the game. The quicker you start sucking at things, the quicker you can start not sucking at things. I just got a message from my friend who is apparently watching the stream who says, "Lol, you always suck, baby girl." Oh, I love my friends. They're so good. Golden brain rot. Yes, Ghost Cookie. That's kind of where I'm at the minute. Yeah. It's kind of crazy how fast world building's exploded as a genre in general on YouTube. I think a huge part of that is just... One, I mean, who doesn't love a good fantasy, chunky lore thing? I mean, I sure do. Anytime someone else drops a video like that, I'm like, yeah, get that down my brain / let me eat it. I mean, I love it as much as the next person, but I think also, especially with, like, the advent of AI stuff, I think people are just looking for authenticity, right? It's why I'm so determined to show the ugly parts of the process where I don't nail it immediately, or what frequently happens is I'll be doing pose sketches or studies, and then I'll remember, like, oh, I should start filming myself, and I'll get, like, halfway through something and you'll only see part of it, and because there's something human about the process, right? And I think people are really gravitating towards that of, like, I couldn't possibly guess why. But yeah, I hope it continues. I hope people continue to get inspired to make things and enjoy themselves. I think enjoying making things is so important. Just gonna, I think, darken her skin just a little more. Brightness down, but contrast up. Just a little. There we go. And the only reason I'm kind of trying to nail that now is because I'm about to slap her skin color down. Right, so right off the bat I want like a, maybe not this yellow, but I do want like an off-white for the shirt. Oh, I should probably have locked the alpha. I did even say I was going to do that, didn't I? Whoopsie. And what I'm actually going to do, and I have done this a lot recently, is I've kind of like slapped down colours with a bit of like pressure sensitivity going, and then tidying up afterwards, because sometimes it gets like a little bit of internal reflection going, if you know what I mean, not emotionally or anything, but just like, you know, the way colours play off of one another. It's kind of emulated that a little bit, a bit of shade. Thinking blue for her, actually. I was thinking like real, like I want something that will complement her skin, but also like, I feel like they'd get her to dress up almost a bit holier than thou. Ooh, actually, you know who could be a really good reference and also a nice, you know, like a look at the complement to her skin is Vivian from Dragon Age Inquisition, because Vivian has a beautiful darker complexion and they always dress her so flatteringly. And they use a lot of whites and blues for her, which is awesome. And that's kind of what I'm envisioning here. If you're not familiar with Vivian from Dragon Age Inquisition, that's a shame, because she's very cool. And they always had her be very fashionable. Sorry, I was just contemplating the colour there. I think maybe it was less to do with, I think she should have been darker anyway, because I envisioned her with quite dark skin, but I think what she needs is a bit of colour here. Like, it's all one tone, so I'll probably go back in later and add like some reds and blues and yellows just to make her face look a little less dense. Like, she's not wearing makeup like Vivian here, but like, you know, I definitely want these whites and blues in there. I think those will be nice. Let's see what we can do. Maybe something like this. Because I've used a lot of reds with some of the other Ordo Electi. I think Elian de Serva has quite blue-black thing going on, but the other two, even the, I mean, Edie's got blue, but it's highlighted by much warmer tones, whereas I want Cembo to feel more cold, like a cold blue. I think also some maybe white quote-unquote boot covers are in order. I say quote-unquote because they're never like truly white. They're usually... No, that's not working. It doesn't spark joy, gang. Uh-oh. This is what I meant about seeing the failure of the process. See, I'm just kind of like slapping colour down and seeing what works. It's the only way to do things, I feel, really. Ooh, these feel good. These feel like nice colours. I don't like this brown. I want something lighter. Probably help if I didn't have sample all layers on. No, no. This seems crazy, but bear with me. What I'm doing here is, because the auto select's being funky, as I'm just isolating the color of the leather so I can just slam around on my slider and kind of play around with the color separately from kind of the rest of it until I find something I like. With these reds, it's almost making the blue look more purple, which wasn't initially what I was going for, but I don't hate it. I don't hate this color. Ooh, I'm just gonna have a peek at this. Asmal says, 30 years of practice drawing didn't get me anywhere. 26 years of writing practice has me on my way to multiple books. 50 minutes of modelling practice has resulted in 3 years of making digital models. Yeah, absolutely. You just got to see what happens. I suck at art, I play to my strengths, I explore world building through props, many avenues. Simon's World is quite different thematically though, with lots of mutation and fantasy border horror. I can see why people compare art. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, like, I try not to compare myself because it's also not healthy to compare yourself too much to other people. We're all different. Yes, spin up, absolutely. Upload a video of your world building. Do it. I'd love to see it. Also, this creature's throwing down the gauntlet with their fashion choice. Thank you. Yes, that's the aim. She's meant to be fabulous, you know. It does look like a dueling outfit, like that one fencing. Yeah, she's meant to look a little, you know, fancy. And I predicted the exact colours that you've just now mentioned almost 30 minutes later. That's awesome. I've always loved turquoise accents with dark. Yeah, I think it can, if you do it right, it can really, really highlight it. And like, yeah, as Wow Moment says, being fashionable and being able to whoop someone's ass is just like absolute domination. Like this is like a setting in which there are a lot of like very, like there's lots of like, hey, my name's Biggins and I'm, you know, this little farmer guy and I'm a little kind of little rat man in terms of aesthetic, but you know, I can shoot lightning and you know, not everyone's like this amazing, beautiful badass, but what would it really be a fantasy setting if there were no amazing, beautiful badasses? I don't think so. I think you need a few kind of beautiful looking badasses. I am just gonna duplicate the Slayer, which is the name of the game today, and just do some blues. Just lots of blues. I'm just playing around with them blues and seeing what happens. I'm gonna get lots of different blue shades down and see what comes of it. You know, I'm just slamming down them colours. I think a yellow base white though works really well with it, because then you do actually technically have a complementary colour in there, if you know what I mean. Like, because you've got this, which is yellow, and then you've got this nice blue. I think something like that is what you need. Blah, 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 blah. Just reading through stuff. I don't think in this case she'd have gold coming around to her cheek, so it's literally just like a little cap at the back of her head. In fact, I could probably do with, if there's the hair, then let's just shh, we're just gonna sneakily, this is a little surprise. That's not what I meant to do. It's all going horribly wrong. Right, let's see what the sketch layer looks like. So if I remove this and this, it's the hair that's causing problems. So if I put the gold color on top of the hair, then what I'm saying is no one's going to know and it will be fine. I'm just gonna stick that in there, and that's gonna be our fun little surprise for later. There you go, there's her gold. There's the gold pigmentation. I'll do for now. It's not super rendered, but it gives the impression, and that's what I'm after at the minute. Just the idea of it, you know. I can play around with that later. Once again, I think that will also add like a nice contrast to the blue. But then, like, I was thinking, how fancy do I want to be? Because you could also go completely the other way, and it could be like, maybe not quite that, but like this, you know, like she could be wearing white. And I don't know which one I like more. Too many decisions. She's so fabulous. Gang, I made her too fabulous. I didn't stop to, I was only concerned with if I could. I didn't think about if I should, and all of the decisions I'd have to make about her outfits. And she could have like little, oh god, she's getting too fabulous. What do I do? What do I do? I'm glad that you like the face structure, Ron. I'm pleased to hear that. Just reading, yeah, it's got a little bit of disco boots going on. Any few Gojos in the world. Me when I'm world building, I know the politics and why they're developed. I know what the food is. I know that the food is this way and what led them to this. Also me, I give this whole group male pattern baldness because it's in vogue for them. Yeah, exactly. Do we know what her power would be? Does the hair not grow on? So the hair can be quite patchy on the golden skin, but in Cembo's case, she consciously shaves her hair and ties it back and shows people her mark. She could hide it, but she chooses not to. Typically, if the hair does grow out of the gold spot, typically it's a little frizzier and patchier and grey or white. Occasionally you will get like a little brittle, not literally golden, but like, you know, when hair ages or is a bit damaged, bit of gold in there, but typically it's white or grey. And oh yeah, I did say her power way at the beginning of the stream. If you can see her, she can see you. Is her ability. I do agree that if it's white, the ruffles don't give enough contrast. If we do go with white as opposed to like something like this, I feel like it would need to be, the ruffles would almost need to be blue. Or like a cerulean type deal, you know, something like that. Oh, we've got so many nice colours. These almost look like inverted. Is my colour theory now getting to the point where I have unintentionally picked inverted versions of things? Oh, I kind of have a little bit, haven't I? Oh no, I don't know what this says about my colour theory. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm gonna pretend it's a good thing, because I don't know what to do with that information. I think the white could be a bit of a power move though, like... I think if she was in combat, she would probably wear something a little less ostentatious, but she doesn't, you know... She doesn't really do as much combat nowadays, so it would make sense if she was like, you know, dressing up a lot. And she likes looking good. And this is going to have embroidery, so if I need a... what's it? Like a accent colour in there, like some yellow. I can stick some like yellow or like yellow tinted, almost brassy golden looking embroidery in here maybe. She's feeling good either way though. Like both of these looks are a mood and both of them I feel complement her skin. I just can't unsee the fact that I have kind of picked inverted colours. And I don't know what that means. Someone says, do you mean that she would know that you are there mentally or more like X-ray? Not even like X-ray, she can, it's, I said this at the beginning of the stream, if a character is not someone that we would see from the perspective of, like even if I was planning, because I'd have written some like little fictional bits and pieces that are on the Patreon, if you don't see the world from their perspective, you can kind of hand wave things and leave things a little vague, because then it's just how we see her using her ability. But as far as anyone can tell, she knows exactly where you are and she knows what your face looks like. It's like she's looking at you, is how it works. Valleyball says, I plan on working on an Ornata design for the event, but as soon as I finished the warden, I got sick. Oh no, Valleyball! For the record, everyone go follow Valleyball. And 2, Valleyball did an amazing warden design, which obviously will be highlighted when I do a little... I'm going to do multiple highlight streams, so no one rush their designs. I'll do multiple as the event progresses and people work on stuff. But a very cool warden with a really cool prosthetic that feels very based in Golden Bone. Like, it doesn't feel too advanced. And I also really like... I don't know if this was your intention, Valleyball, but he was almost giving some like East Asian influences in the armor that you drew, which is actually a crazy coincidence because the last Exodus, who are one of 2 major sects of myriadism, which as I've said before, I'm gonna do a video on soon and mentioned in the Ornata video, some of their armor is, funnily enough, East Asian themed. I've kind of mixed European and East Asian like samurai armor with that. So it's completely crazy that your warden, intentionally or otherwise, seems to have a little bit of that shape language to him. I think that means you're really crazy good or something, Volleyball, and everyone should go subscribe to you. What? Crazy. Someone says time to make 2 outfits. Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. That sounds like extra work. I do just... I will say this. Dragon Age Inquisition, I personally like it more than the other 2 games, but I know that's not always... Most people prefer Origins, but I love Inquisition. But I love how in the Inquisition, and in the games in general, the Dragon Age games, they make loads of different body types look sexy and look cool, and you can have like a kind of maybe a chubbier guy, or like a, you know, like women with completely different skin types and facial features, and they're like, all of these people are gonna look fabulous. And I love a fantasy setting. Hades 2's doing it, you know, you've got all these different body types and ages, and they're like, everyone is gonna look hot, and I love that, honestly. I think that's wonderful. Well, having won a duel without dirtying your white is the ultimate power move. That is true. The paler outfit would probably be ceremonial. The darker one, yeah, I think this white one is like her diplomat's outfit. What should I do if I accidentally drew Elon Musk's head on Saitama? Yeah, burn it. Unfortunately, Schnauzer Wizard, this solution is to burn it. People talking about the Cybertruck. Valleyboard, that's a crazy coincidence. Yeah, that is a crazy coincidence, right? I'm going to head off since it's 1 AM where I am. Shadow Coconut, thank you so much for joining us. I'm probably gonna... The reason I'm just reading the chat now is because I am absolutely brain rotting all over the place when it comes to the colour of her outfit right now. So I think I'm just kind of taking a moment and then I might head off in a bit myself. So you get some sleep and I'll see you soon. Mwah, mwah. Character design is absolutely the greatest thing in the world and no one can tell me otherwise. Character design is fun and sometimes I gotta just blast through a design because either I want to get a video out or because I'll pressure over it for too long. But what I'm going to try and do is I draw more and more of the Ornata and Wardens and just like other characters from this setting is I'm just going to try and stream them more and just enjoy the character design process with you guys because I think that'll be really nice and fun. And I enjoy doing it. It's a silly good time. And some of these guys don't feel like they need a whole ass video on them. I mean, until I have more lore about them. So this is a nice way of still letting you guys see what's happening, you know, without it being a whole ass thing. Do I happen to be using a Huion? Is a Huion asks Ron? No, I'm not. I'm using a Wacom Intuos Pen and Touch Small, and it's the same one I have owned. I probably could do with replacing it because it's starting to really flag. It is an A5 sized one. It's tiny. It's my preferred kind of tablet where I'm not hunched over it. I'm looking forward at my monitor and I draw on the tablet to my right, and then I have my hand on the keyboard just because it means that I'm not shrimping over my desk. But I have owned this tablet for 9 years now. But it's still going, you know, and that's what I'm using. I agree, Throwfan, that Valuable's Warden design is great. Everyone has just done so much good stuff. And I can't wait to see more Valuable stuff as well and videos. I watch with rapt glee. A red belt to the white outfit. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, absolutely, Throwfan. Give Valuable some love. Like, honestly, there's so many good, talented creators on the platform, and I've never gotten I'm just trying out your suggestion of like a red sash or something. I've never gotten that weird thing where people are like, oh, there's only so much room at the top, or, you know, something bonkers like that, and like, some people get really defensive or like covetous, and it's like, no, you hold the door open and you get as many people through the door as humanly possible. That's the rule. I don't make the rules, I just enforce them, you know. I think darker boots would probably help as well. So yeah, absolutely. The one thing I always promise myself is, like, I'm not exactly like a big creator, but I would never close, you know, I'd always hold the door open behind me. I'd never close it on people. That's my one promise to myself. Now, I want these boots darker, but I also don't want them to be the exact same shade as her skin, just because I think that would be a clash. But I also think that these are too light. Maybe if I make those a red tint as well. You can tell that I'm slowly losing my cognitive function. I think I'm just gonna sit here for a minute more and chat a little longer. And then I have been streaming for a good few hours, and I will probably head on off. Throwfan says, I mean, some praise where it's due. You definitely gave a grand opportunity for people to share their creativity. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear that. Thank you. That does mean a lot. And same here, Valuable. No matter how small, yeah, I love seeing everyone's work. It's always really awesome to see. It's kind of why I tried to refer to the art competition as an art event. Not because there isn't, I'm sure people have a competitive element, but like for me, it was more about getting people drawing and enjoying the art process. I think that's so important right now, especially with, for some reason, some people trying to replace it with AI. I think it's just important to enjoy it. The Phantom is making the bad decision of trying to play Celeste while also watching something that really... Oh no, Phantom, you gotta do one or the other with Celeste. Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Valibor. I'm glad you like the colour scheme. What I'm gonna do, I think also will be good for me, is if I'm tired, I'm gonna walk away from this, as it were, come back to it, see what I'm working with, and I will probably be able to like really work with it more. And I agree with Throthan, Asimov. You should go for it. Just, you know, you've all got to start somewhere. As I said before, the art event is as much getting you enjoying yourself. Ron Miller says, is it 2 AM? Probably. Am I going to step because my display is finally working now after updating the driver? I'd rather not answer. Oh no. Oh, right. Well, I think we made good progress today, gang. We had a little catch up. We talked. We've got this, you know, outfit sorted, and I think she's looking pretty dripped out. I need to still decide on a color scheme, but I think at the minute it's just because I've been looking at this for too long. So I'm gonna walk away. Have a little ponder, have a think. Channel my inner Vivian, because look at her, she's dripped the fuck out. That's what we want. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna get demonetized. I dropped a single F-bomb. Let's see what happens. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed meeting Cembo. She's a badass lady, and I hope to, you know, have more of her in the future. As I said, I've got a couple more Ornata I'm probably gonna do some streams for. So I've got the one who can taste emotions, and I've got the one who's a giant, well, not giant, like huge, but he's a big, strong guy. And hopefully I will introduce those guys soon. Oh, Jack, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Just wanted to ask where I can find all your characters and what powers they have. It's just for now, it's just the only ones that kind of really I've confirmed publicly are Cembo here, and then the 3 from the Ornata video. So I don't have like a wiki at the minute or something. There's so many things I know people want, but unfortunately just free time, it's just not something I've gotten around to at the minute. So the Ornata video is probably your best shout, Jack. But thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate your support. It's genuinely so kind. Thank you. I do agree. Yeah, Schnaz Wizard is also partially about lore, 100%. Love a guy whose power is just large. Yeah, Ghost Cookie, this guy, his power is large. He's large boy. I haven't narrowed it down yet, but he's going to be like 8 or 9 feet tall minimum, and he big strong boy. W stream, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing what you come up with. Brilliant. Right, gang, I'm going to head off because I could hang out with you lovely folks all night because you're so lovely. This has been really good fun, and yeah, I will definitely try and do it again sometime. All of my love.